Hello and welcome. Last night at the White House Correspondents Dinner, a gunman fired shots in an attempt to break through security and get into the venue.
But we now do have some video of the moment where the president was rushed off the stage. Let us watch that now.
You know, what occurs to me as we're watching this as well, we just said Erica Kirk was in this room.
She was.
She was in this room.
There are reports.
As well.
There are reports that she was seen crying as she was leaving the room as well. People who did see her there made that note. Obviously, this had to be very, very traumatic.
We have Caitlin Collins on the line for some more insight. Caitlin Collins, we're listening. What's happening?
Hey guys, obviously, I mean, this is a total state of chaos right now in the ballroom, and we're seated maybe 50 feet from the stage where the president was up there, the First Lady Melania Trump.
Okay, we have to stay here for now.
Security is telling us that everything's okay. There was a shooter? 1 second, guys, I'm literally, what happened?
We're trying to identify it now.
Where was the shooter?
Somewhere out there.
In the lobby? In the lobby? All right, control. All right, guys. I just want you to know this is not verified. We're just listening to what's happening right now. But we have security around us, and it's Secret Service because there's a lot of members of the administration here. The Secretary of Education is seated right next to me.
Hello and welcome. My name is Rudolph Okonkwo. Politics and media have always been joined to the hip. That is why Thomas Jefferson once said that if forced to choose between the press and the government, he will choose the newspapers. And Arthur Miller put it this way, that a good newspaper is nothing less than a nation talking to itself. But what happens when the conversation is under threat? Just a day after a gunman attempted to attack the White House Correspondents Dinner, an event where power meets the press, what is the state of the national dialogue in America and across the world? And as Nigeria edges towards the high-stakes 2027 elections, we must ask, who is speaking, who is listening, and who has been pushed to the sidelines? How is the conversation shaping for the political elite? How is the media holding up its end? And what about the masses living with the consequences of both? On our show today, media practitioner and consultant Precious Enyi joins us to take the pulse of the nation. As the political temperature rises, she offers us insights from both sides of the divide. The people who make the news and the people whose lives are shaped by it. Please join me in welcoming to the show, Precious Enyi. Precious, welcome to the show.
My own, thank you. My name is Precious Enyi, not Enyi.
Oh,
Enyi, please, not Enyi.
Enyi.
My father, when he was alive, would tell you that my name is Enyi. I'm your friend.
Enyi. Okay. Enyi is better than Enyi. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know his Igbo name actually. I didn't know.
It's Enyi. It's
Okay.
Enyi, yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that. And that's your last name, Enyi.
Thank you. That's my last name.
Wow. I like that. That's a good name to name
As
it.
friendly as friend can be.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I never thought about that as an
What
Igbo.
is it?
Yeah. All right. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Thank
I know you are busy. You just left a show where you are moderating and
I'm going back to another one
and-
too. So.
when do you rest? Anyway, we'll get to that. But
Okay.
let's start with what happened yesterday in Washington. I know it's maybe headlines across the world. I don't know how it is
I
playing.
saw that late last night, and there was I don't know what. Just go ahead.
Did he make it to the Nigerian papers?
I think so. I saw that all over social media. First of all, I mean, social media is the first place you get information these days, and not just our papers. So
Yeah, when I say papers, that's the start. It doesn't mean like TV and all that.
yes, I saw it across social media.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So what are people saying? How are people reading it?
So from the Nigerian angles, very interesting reactions from Nigerians. So from the Nigerian angles, some people look at it like another stunt, Baba, nobody there after you, that kind of thing. While others look at it that some people are even saying, nobody will kill Donald Trump in Jesus' name. He's here to fulfill the word of God. God ordained him, and it's only God that can take him away. So there's just that mixed reaction from Nigerians about what's going on in the United States.
So knowing that in Nigeria we have people who allegedly planned a coup, they are being tried behind the scene because the media is not allowed in there. We don't know what's going on. Do you think something like this will impact the political environment, or even the politicians, our own politicians? Do they care that there is tension in the country?
Tension in the US will affect our own politicians. I mean, they'll be happy that there is tension safe, so that Trump will remove his eyes from Nigeria. I don't understand.
No, what I mean. Okay, I go what you're saying.
I'm being a typical Nigerian, responding with the question.
Wow. So the people there are people who believe that this is not real, according to what people you've talked to or people you had any conversation with. Is that?
Yes, some people think that it's not real. Some people think it's just another stunt by Donald Trump. I mean, they also feel that first one was a stunt to, make him get it for his popularity's sake and all of that. I mean, midterm elections are coming up in the United States. So they just feel like it's a stunt. That's what some people feel. Others are praying very hard that it happens so that he would stay clear what's going on in Nigeria. That's the reactions I've seen on social media. These are not my personal opinions. They're reactions. There are some of us who are social media consumers silently. We just go there and read comments and look at what people are saying. That's actually what I do. I'm actually very clumsy managing my personal social media, but I'm very good at extracting what's going on social media. And that's, part of it. While others see Trump as, from what I filter I get from social media, others see Trump as someone who is doing something extraordinary, who was sent by God in their own language to do something, in fact, to get rid of the bad guys in the world and the bad people in the world generally. And that has to live to fulfill that purpose. Others yap them for thinking that way. So it's just, a potpourri of all sorts.
As a media professional, do you see this? Because we know that this was supposed to be the first time he was attending that conference, that dinner, and this happened. And he's been having this off and on relationship with the media. Do you see this as a way, because here the interpretation is always about the relationship between the government and the media, and that this actually, I'm reading that people are saying that the media should be careful now how they cover Trump. That they are the ones, and from the right, they are the ones who are instigating people, making people to be angry, and for them to take these kinds of actions. So how is the media relationship in Nigeria between the government and the media practitioners like you?
Child, but this is what they do me not good.
No, I'm just saying it's a simple,
So just in the wake of the Iran, Israel, and US war, Trump has spoken to the media in the US more than all Nigerian presidents would have spoken to Nigerians, if you look at it that way. I don't know if I'm wrong, but I mean, look at the statistics. The only Nigerian president you could give kudos for being very upfront with such conversation would be Obasanjo and Atiku Abubakar. Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan. Goodluck Jonathan used to have that media chat once, I think it was quarterly or so.
Yeah, once every.
Where he would say, and they take in calls. I mean, Obasanjo will even speak your language. when he in such conversations. If you're Hausa, he speaks Hausa to you. Remember those? We have totally lost. Like, since APC came into government, in fact, now look, if the money talk to us, go happy. Hey, they talk to us today. Thank God, though. Stuff like that. But forgetting that, communicating with the people that you lead is a very critical aspect of leadership itself. But let me just rest it at that.
Now, I understand the president may not be comfortable talking to the media. What about other people like ministers? Do they periodically talk to the media? Do you have access to it?
So I speaking as a Nigerian journalist living in Nigeria, I would like to say that if you look at it from the sense of what it is, you'll find out that political office holders generally, whether appointed or elected, actually cherry pick media houses they can grant interviews.
What are the conditions? How do they choose? Do you know?
If they're not comfortable with your platform, if they think that you would ask them questions, I'll throw them under the bus and stuff like that, they will not even pay attention to you. You beg and beg and beg, they will not answer you. That is, we beg, I think in the country where you people are, from what I have read, the politicians try everything possible to communicate with the people to make it look like they're working, to show them what they're doing. But here, now we beg them, say, come and tell us what you're doing. I don't know if you understand. We have to beg that please come. We need to know what you're doing.
Now, Precious, I'm thinking, are you talking about independent media or the establishment, the legacy ones? Because I don't know if it's true, I heard that they actually pay to summon the media to come and hear them speak. Like Wike, that thing Wike does every month. Is it you can't hear me?
Oh, Rudolph, I don't like this here. At the place where they carry me go, I know, like, you don't carry me go where I know. I know they like these places where they carry me go.
No, I just want people.
So, but in reality, I like us to cut Nigerian media some slack. You see, the way things happen in the countries where you guys come from, it's not the way things happen here. The media establishments may be well funded, well paid, and all of those. We don't have that working for us here in Nigeria. There are major ways that media houses make money in Nigeria. Media buyings, your adverts and all that, sponsorship of programs, live shows, like, when you have people who come and buy your show and pay for this time slot, you understand? And then you have a situation where you can have media coverage, politicians will say, oh, we're having this campaign, come and cover this live. You understand? They pay for it. But aside all of those, how do you think they make money? Because most of these things that you're seeing put together would barely fund the media house adequately, considering the staff strength of most media houses. So it's not easy. So most media organizations in Africa or Nigeria, as a case study, are still largely funded by politicians, either directly or indirectly. And that's where we have a problem. So because they are largely funded by politicians, we would have to protect interests, however it is. Because if you cannot say you will not take money from a politician for you to have a show. And now, you see, the way I watched this, there was an interview I watched from, I think, Truth Nigeria, and it was painful, but it's the sad reality of what's going on in Nigeria in terms of journalism, where the only way you can actually get genuine news from politicians is when they call for press conference and invite you. And then they say something and you take what they say. That's what we call news. Do you understand? So it's not like we can catch the president off guard and report this and about him. There must be a press conference that would have called, or his communications people will put out a communique or stuff like that and will report it. You see, that's the way it functions in Nigeria. It is very sad, but it is true. All of things happening in Nigeria, do you think it's because all these Oyibo people that are coming here can report it more than us? You think they understand the terrain of Nigeria more than us, and that's why they can go to the front line and report these things more than us? But even when they report it, how can they air it if there are interests involved that may stop them from airing it? If there is, I like to put emphasis on that. So it's a lot of problem. And, the example you give about Wiki and all of that. So a media house, go buy airtime. Go get airtime, spend money for diesel. Do you know how much you spend in diesel to sustain their effectiveness and functionality? And will pay staff. And then they will now come and be answering Wiki every day without him paying money. I don't understand. Now you get the station. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's something that is likely to happen without a paycheck. It's not likely. I am not saying he paid for it, but it's unlikely that it will happen, considering the fact that these media houses have to run.
No, I understand. Let me just say that in the West, the media is also in trouble. If you look at Washington Post, New York Times, they lay off people. They don't know the model that will save them. They're actually in trouble, but it's not as severe as it is in Nigeria. But if so, let's say Wike paid. I'm not saying that he did. Let's say he paid for me to come and represent my media or media house at his conference. How will I be able to ask him questions that that might not be comfortable?
How will I do it? I beg your pardon.
How will I be able to? Do you still have the right and to be able to ask questions that are important, not even uncomfortable, important questions? If he paid for you to come and paid for you.
Have you ever seen them ask Wiki such questions and he says, can you ask me that kind of question? Have you ever heard that before?
And what happens after?
And he may not want to answer, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Okay, we'll come back to the media, but let me ask you, because there's also something that happened yesterday. We touched on Trump and what happened at the White Washington. But let me show you a little video of what is going on in Mali. Sometimes we don't touch on African countries and what is happening there. But let's see.
A lot of concern about the increasing intensity of attacks by Janim, the terror group that's backed by Al-Qaeda, that we're now seeing in Bamako, in the northern suburb of Bamako, but also reportedly in the airport. We've also seen videos coming out from the north, from Kidal. Now, this is a town that the Malian army, along with Russian Wagner troops, now Africa Corps, took over in November 2023. As the UN peacekeeping troops were withdrawing. And what that did is that actually consolidated a partnership between Tuareg rebels in the north and jihadist groups. And that's what we're seeing play out today. We're seeing rebels work alongside Janim and other jihadist groups up in the north to take over cities, big cities like Kidal. Then we're seeing these jihadist groups managed to infiltrate the capital, Bamako. Now, what's concerning about this is the fact that Mali, along with Burkina Faso and Niger, are a part of this coalition of Sahelian states that have broken away from the Western-backed coalition, ECOWAS, and are all facing jihadist insurgency. Now, these groups, these countries are led by juntas, military leaders that took over in a series of coups. And the concern now is, what does this mean for other cities in the region? What does it mean for the capital, Burkina Faso?
All right. So something like this, is it something that people in Nigeria pay attention to? This is Africa.
Now, this is one of the reasons I've started what I do, because I feel like it's important for Nigerians to be informed and know what's going on. A few Nigerians are just worried about their immediate circle and what concerns them at that time alone, and forgetting that there are broader issues that would, of course, affect them at the end of the day. What is going on in Mali, Burkina? I mean, what is going on in Africa generally? It's more like a calculated thing. If you X-ray the situation in Mali, it's almost looking exactly like what's going on in Nigeria, and they're closing in on the capital, Bamako, like you just said, like the report just said, and almost every indices of what's going on in Mali, it's actually playing out in Nigeria. And we may think is a play. But the question is, to what end? What do they really want? Who funds those people? What is fueling these attacks? And then for a country like Mali that already have juntas, we would say that, oh, there are Western interests that don't want these juntas to succeed because they want them to be democratic. And of course, definitely because of the mineral resources and all of that they have there. And that's what some people will say. But should it be Islamic forces? Should they be involved in most of the things going on? Like the reporter mentioned, I didn't say that. And what is Africa doing or not doing right to attract this level of extremism? There are lots of questions to be asked that I don't have answers to. But answering your question directly, most Nigerians barely understand the gravity of what's going on. Except now that the killing has become so much. Before now, a lot of us within this part, if not for social media, a lot of us, because the media, the mainstream media do not report them adequately, most of us within the South are even unaware of what Benue, Plateau, and the rest of them are going through. Most of the times, we're barely aware. And it's very unfortunate.
So is it because it's not being reported or that people don't care about it? I want to know, because sometimes...
Because it is underreported. It's not because it's barely reported. All of the things that you see on social media, how many of them do you see in mainstream media reported? And at the gravity at which is going on, how many of them do you see? I said this before and I'll say it again. I interviewed a young man who's, whose life was in danger. He's from Goza, Borno State, and he survived the Goza massacre. I interviewed him, and at that time there was a threat, on his life. And I did call a few colleagues from mainstream media. Could you please help me interview this guy? Give him that platform so that whoever it is that is threatening his life will know that he now has some attraction, and then they would leave him. Almost every media house I call, so no go fit this kind of thing. So no go fit air. This is between you and I, and it's unfortunate. I feel bad. Sometimes I feel like I have a magic wand to turn things around. And it's, in all honesty, it's not because they may not also want to, but it cannot allow some people appear bad or look bad because of their reportage. And understand that there are also vested interests. And remember that there are places where funds are coming from and monies are coming from. So it's a combination of almost everything put together. And it's very sad where we are. Yes, people are unaware because it is barely reported or underreported.
Let's come back to Nigeria. So what happened yesterday in Ibadan? Is it yesterday? There has to be...
Yes, the Ibadan coalition, opposition.
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, so political parties came together, opposition political parties came together and said, had a meeting that they must work together to bring a united force against, in the 2027 election, basically. And they made a couple of declarations, including the fact that they have to all support a unified candidate. And they all also said they don't want Amopito to be the INEC chairman, that he seemed to be biased. I think that's part of their declaration. And the fact that they also told the National Assembly to ensure that they work on the clauses that would enable election rigging in the 2026 election as a matter of urgency. And those were few other stuffs they mentioned.
Everybody came. Who and who were there?
I think Obasanjo was there. I think the meeting was at his behest, so I don't believe. So Obasanjo was there. You had all the opposition parties, the Turaki faction of the PDP were there, the NNPP, Kwankwaso faction, and all that were there, and of course the ADC guys were all there.
So Shawara was not there.
No, he's not that opposition that will be there.
He said again, I didn't hear what he said.
It's not that opposition that will be there. I mean, he stated it clearly before that he can't be part of this group of opposition. So he already said that. So he already know that.
So some people are interpreting that to mean that they all agreed that there will be one candidate for the main opposition party. Is that what you understand?
Yes, only one candidate for, the opposition put together. Yes. You
think that will work? You think Peter Obi and if Atiku becomes the candidate, Peter Obi will give up the...
Well, I think, to be frank, most people have also stated this in the past, that it is time the opposition understood that they must put up a united force, if they would defeat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So I think they understand what is at stake. However, if people are, I do not know if people will be willing to keep their interests aside to ensure they do that. But if the opposition actually know what they're doing, I do not think that bringing someone who's a bit more older and who would be barely active than the person who already have in power would be a solution to Nigeria's problem. So I think that they'll be smart enough to know exactly what to do.
Mm-hmm. Now, for those who are watching, Precious will not be here with us on the program with us for a long time. So we are going to cut short my interview so that we'll let you come in and interact with her. So let me ask you a few more questions about the media and the coverage of the election 2027.
Okay.
After the Hassan the interview with David Bowler in London, it appeared that there were a lot of attention on the media and how practitioners do their job. Did you feel that? Did you feel that pressure after that interview?
The interview with Hassan.
Hassan, yeah.
I don't feel any kind of pressure. I don't
People
feel.
didn't appear on your platform and
I
say,
do not think that Hassan did anything that Nigerian journalists will not do. So the question is, will the politicians even respond to the Nigerian journalists in that manner? It's a different thing. See, first of all, I want to believe that Bola would have gone there to market himself and his boss. That would have been the intention. But fortunately, that was a marketing, done wrong or gone wrong rather. So I don't think Hassan did anything that we wouldn't do. I don't think so. There are different ways you ask questions. For me, I do not believe that I must force my guest to believe in my opinion for me to show that he's not answering the question. If I ask you once, I go back again and ask you again and refuse to answer, let the guest or audience decide whether or not you've answered that question. I don't have to shove it into your throat to make you look like you're stupid for the world to know that you've been stupid for not answering that question. So people have their different approaches to interviews and conversation. But again, Hassan was fantastic, but I don't think he did anything that any Nigerian presenter or journalist wouldn't have done. No, I don't think so.
Well, why did people, on several platforms, if you read comments, like you say, I also go around and read comments and see what people are saying. You see people kind of saying that this is what your people should be doing.
So the problem around that is because of the Nigerian environment. See, Nigeria is a country where there is freedom of speech, but no freedom after speech. You understand? So people may go ahead to ask such questions with such receipts. Do you understand? But what is their liberty after such interview? That's a problem. So because a politician may feel embarrassed, do you think if Hassan was in Nigeria, he wouldn't have been arrested? If he was a Nigerian and in Nigeria, with the way things are, you think he wouldn't have been arrested for embarrassing the president's spokesperson? Say the truth. The much you know about Nigeria. So that's why Nigerian journalists cherry pick and carefully choose the way they ask questions to their guests. Not because Nigeria is a place where once you have a issue, you see the bond bread issue with the woman. Once you have a bit of power, you can use it to oppress the next person. And people are careful. How much do you even think these journalists earn in the first place? That they will spend the rest of their money in litigations?
Yeah, I would. My thinking is that if that were to be in Nigeria, that maybe the owner of the media house will fire him.
First of all, they not because he would want to fire him, because they will first of all tell their interest. I'll say, if you don't fire that guy, you're in trouble. If you don't find him, you're in trouble. You don't understand. Oh, okay.
Now, because this is something I want the Nigerian viewers and readers of newspapers to understand. Another thing you mentioned is about payment, how much people are paid, the financing of the media. That's something that people don't understand. People think that the media is making money, and that why shouldn't people go to, if something is happening in Calabar, why shouldn't you leave Lagos and go to Calabar and cover it? If it happens in Maiduguri, why don't you go there? Why is it that you are sitting in Lagos and you are talking when things are happening? Like, I give an example, when the Sokoto, when the bombing, the Trump, December 10, they were saying, where is the picture? Why is the media not there? Why is the media? Why can't you people leave Lagos and go and get us videos, talk to the people on what do you say to that?
Okay, so first of all, I like to say this and emphasize on it. Media is a highly capital intensive business, very highly capital intensive. If I owned a media house, at the same time, I would need my reporters to go report the Sokoto issue. They would have been going to report other issues too. They would have gone to one or two places. How much do I need to mobilize them to fund them on those different trips? That takes a lot of money, however we look at it. And because it's not something that is immediately profitable, so people calculate and cut their losses, or entrepreneurs calculate and cut their losses. And another thing is, you go and cover. You may go there, you'll not be able to cover anything, because the military or the people in charge would have cordoned off that area to make sure that you do not cover, to present the country in a light that they don't want you to see. So it's also a different thing entirely. So speaking about people not going, do you know if there are people who even perhaps indicated interest to go? I think I saw News Central or so do a few work concerning that, But it takes a lot. Remember, you're going to a terrain that is highly dangerous because of insecurity. So they will go to insecurity. They may, perhaps go with handful of security personnel, chartered vehicles, and all of this. It takes a lot. How much the media houses they make? They're not making money. So I don't know if I've said this before. It's easier for banks in Nigeria to fund a politician who is contesting for an election than to fund it to open a media house. Because media is not an immediately lucrative or profitable business. So it's not that easy to make money. Okay, how would they get the fund? If somebody was to send, a media house were to send someone on that report, the money they'll spend for flight from wherever they are, the nearest station, to get to that place, for flight for the cameraman and the reporter, 2 people, and then they'll hire security, they'll hire vehicles for mobilization. They may spend at least 2 to 3 million naira. Where would they get it back from? Where would they get it back from? So as much as it is their job to do, but people have to do the job within the means that they can afford at that time. That's one of the issues or constraints that media houses in Nigeria have.
Mm. Now, talking about funding, I don't know how much you know about grants that is supporting. There are these grants are supporting media houses we have in Nigeria, so many of them. People have raised issues about that. Who is giving you grants? And how are these grants, what are the constraints, what are the conditions that you may not be free to cover what you want to cover because you have grants? Do you think that, I don't know, if you have an idea of what's going on, do you think that media houses can survive without that extra support? Because
I don't think so. In fact, media houses in Nigeria are not even surviving. They are just floating. I kid you not. It takes a lot. Do you know there are media houses who owe months, years of salaries? It's hard to pay salaries. I mean, there are people who have said that they own media houses and they tell you that I've given you the platform, use it to make money, don't ask me for salary. Do you understand? It's hard for media houses to stay afloat. Very, very difficult. You want to talk about equipment. Media equipment and sustainability is very expensive. And then because there are basic things that should help businesses function in Nigeria that Nigerians still lack, like electricity, lights. If I tell you how much media houses burn in diesel to stay afloat. In fact, because of that, some have to do epileptic supply. So they'll come on in the morning, close around 4 p.m. just so that they can sustain. It's not easy. And you know that for you to be able to have, good generators, because of the kind of equipment we still use these days, you need high power generators because of the kind of equipment we still use. So it's difficult for media houses to stay afloat. So that's why sometimes, when those of you in the diaspora try to be too hard on Nigerians, and I'm like, you guys don't understand how this works. It's not easy. It's hard for any media house to function without grants. Even the ones in your United States, they must have grants. But then again, a lot of people are careful where they get their grants from. For instance, what I do, I have the desire to turn into a full-fledged media house. Albert's just online, not mainstream. But then again, I am very careful. I want to fund it by myself. When people ask me for money, I say, don't worry, I don't want money. Because I don't want tomorrow they tell me that because you're taking fund from this place now, you're now a US agent or somebody is funding you. I don't want. So I don't like anything that's got to do with me taking money from anybody for any reason. But then again, it may be impossible for me to fulfill that dream because I need funds to make it happen. Because it's a highly capital intensive business, very capital intensive. From the equipment that you have to buy to the sustainability of the business and all of that in an environment where you don't have basic necessities. Internet connectivity. There are things that will help the business move forward that we do not have. And these things are pricey. How do we afford them? But unfortunately, we're where we are.
What about public funding, where you solicit funds from people, regular people, not from organizations, not from founders?
Which regular people, no vex? I don't know. Maybe there's something I don't know. No,
I'm not. Seriously, in America here, there are public media. They depend on people's donation. $50, $20, $12.
So Nigerians will not donate money to your media for your media to stay afloat. You see, anywhere you are, you have to behave and gauge your mind to the thinking of those people. Nigeria, it's not an easy place for you to just get funding for such thing. Public funding. People will not contribute money for you. in the first place, the interest who have that money may not even want you to stay afloat, because you go against them one day and you do things that will be against them. So why would they fund you? And the ones that want to fund you, you have to protect their interests. Do you understand? So you have to keep a blind eye when they do some things they do, or not to be, or you ensure that you're not too hard on them when it comes to something that they do wrong or do not do right. And then, have you been a fair media if you do that?
I know an organization that set up funding from people, and what happened was some people were giving money. One guy gave $2,000 and started doing what you just said now. Called the media and said, "Look, why did you publish this? You shouldn't publish this." And the reaction of the media was to say, "You know what? If this is the way it's going to be," they said that they won't take anything more than $20 from anybody. So you don't feel that your own money, because you brought something more than other people, you have to dictate what the media should cover. But I understand that. But I wanted to come out from you, because people need to know some of the loopholes and challenges that media practitioners feel.
So it's a lot of challenge. It's a lot of challenge. And I've often been asked that question about how I get funded myself. I have a business. First of all, I run an outsourcing marketing customer service company that I've established since 2014, while I was still working in Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, because that's my background in journalism. And I am also a media consultant, because I do a lot of, in case you do not know, in case when I get work for me, I do documentaries, I write documentaries, and I produce fantastic documentaries. I have a degree in theater arts, by the way, background in theater arts. So because I have that mixture of production and directing and all that, so it's my forte. So I produce documentaries. I've done for a couple of state governments even. I think I produced one for Adeliki's midterm last year, and it was a fantastic job. So I do those for companies and organizations. So because I have a personal thing I do for money, that's how I fund what I'm doing, and that's the interest. And it's difficult because I have staff I pay every month. For instance, I'm very clumsy with social media. Any post on my social media would have been somebody who posted it. I don't know how to keep up with the Gen Z's social media. So I don't like to focus on my weakness. I pay attention on my strengths and forget about my weakness. I can outsource my weakness. Talking is my strength. And almost everything I do takes a lot of talking. So I handle people's customer service as though you were them. You understand? That's part of what I do. So doing marketing for you, doing code calling, customer service, telemarketing and all that, it's something that is at the tip of my fingers, because it's got to do with talking. It's something I'm very comfortable with, and I rather spend my time dealing with that business than struggling with social media. I'm only going to social media to feed my eyes and see what's going on. So for people like us, because we're self-funded, it's very difficult to expand and to get something bigger. For instance, I have the intention to self-post someday and perhaps get to satellite, employ more staff, even presenters and all those, even get reporters. I should be able to have stringers, what we call stringers across board, that I can just pay to be fielding me reports on things happening around their areas. But I can't afford that yet, so I'm not even doing that yet, and it's very unfortunate. Right? So it's a lot. So it's a lot for somebody who wants to own or run a successful media business to succeed in Nigeria. And it's always a challenge, especially when people think that, with mainstream media. The reason why I said I perhaps will not need to be mainstream, but just to remain alternative media, as it were. Because if you look at the way the mainstream media is in the world, there's almost no mainstream media that is without their own bias, even in the United States there. And that's why you call the CNNs the far left and the Foxes of this world the far right. It's always like that. There's always an interest. And because their interest abound, reports and news from those media houses would go in line with their interest and what it says. But then how do people know the truth? And that's alternative media is gradually becoming a thing. And that's what I'm focusing on that. So you find that people are more likely to get genuine stories from online than from mainstream media. Because the mainstream media stories will come with its bias, whichever way the bias goes. For instance, I would rather, as a media practitioner, chase the story behind the war than to chase the war itself. Why is Israel, Iran, US at loggerheads? What is the main interest? Who is gaining from the war? Why would they be gaining from the war? Those are the questions I would rather ask than looking at, Israel has bombarded Iran. Iran is overpowered. I would rather not look at that because I like to look at the interests that are vested. What's going on? Who is behind it? People are saying that at the end of the day, this may be, beyond, this may not just be about Iran, but more of China, whom US sees as an economic competitor than Iran. So I like to look at conversations from that angle than looking at it from whatever it is that Iran, US, and Israel will be doing at that time. But for you to even dig deeper in most of this conversation, you must have footings on the ground. For instance, I could as well have footings somewhere in Iran. People who will just send me random information, but I have to pay them. Getting all of this information is not so hard, but you use money to chase money. So if you cannot afford to use all the money you have now to chase money, you still maintain where you are at the moment while you hope to grow in future.
Okay, I have one more question maybe, and then we'll bring in people who want to interact with you. I know you won't stay long. We agreed on 90 minutes. It's over 30 minutes or 40 minutes. All right, something happened a few weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago on your show, and we discussed that here, and I wanted to hear your viewpoint. I'll play a little bit of that video, and then we...
Going through now is what the DRC was going through maybe 15, 20 years ago. For the same reasons, and it's been organized by the exact same people. For the longest time, there is a misconception that the natural resource wealth of Nigeria is concentrated in the Niger Delta region or in the southern part of Nigeria. That is completely untrue. The bulk of Nigeria's natural resource endowment is actually concentrated in the north and the middle belt, specifically the middle belt. There is a very large amount of artists
persecuted because their focus is Nigeria.
Okay.
Their focus is Nigeria. Okay. So I want to see an avenue where I can help my people.
Which organization gets for waiting the gun for Nigeria?
Precious. Equipping the persecuted has been working in Nigeria for the past 8 years. 8 years. It has been working in Nigeria. Josol first went to Nigeria. Josol, the executive director, first went to Nigeria in 2011 with his grandfather who was a missionary. You have white missionaries and expensive, good and fine. But the Rwandan genocide, that is the most popular genocide in Africa. Were they millionaires who executed the genocide? Were they not just slippers-wearing people? Were they not the name society? None whatsoever. In the United States government here, confess, they say USID, this was what they were doing. Trump's government, to the extent that Trump has to stop funding them.
Everyone who is listening to this or watching this conversation is going to fall into two groups. There are those who, no matter what evidence is presented in front of them, they need the emotionally satisfying explanation, and they are going to get it from him. Right? So I guess that's not my audience, right? The people I'm speaking to are people who have decided intentionally to be intelligent. I understand.
David, can I take a moment? Because I'm sorry, but speaking from the perspective of an average human who have lost loved ones because of this massacre, would it be fair to call them emotional if the people who killed them say we're killing you?
It's not so funny. I was listening to you.
Please, sorry.
If we're here to listen to you drone for 30 minutes, then let me know.
How can you call us emotional?
So if we're here to just listen to you drone for 30 minutes, you can just let me know so that I can leave you to drone by yourself. Right? It's supposed to be a conversation. So if I don't get to speak and you just want to hear yourself talk, I can leave it for you so you can hear yourself talk. If that's what you want. No, if that's what you want, just say so. All you have to do is just say the word. Right? If you love the sound of your voice so much, all you have to do, like, what is all this nonsense? Precious, since you are here to waste your time and hours, I'm just going to...
Can you just calm down? Let people just have their thoughts, please. People actually have that.
Why is she here to waste my time and you are letting her do it? I'm holding you responsible for this.
All right.
What happened?
Where?
Do you get this every week? These kinds of interactions.
Not every week, but once in a while. Okay. So frankly speaking, what I actually invited both people because David is somebody I have a lot of love for. And I sense that to him, he knows. I have a lot of love and respect for David, and I genuinely worry about him because I feel like a few times I just stay back and I think that if those of us in Nigeria that were still hustling and still walking around are finding life this difficult, how much more someone on the run, right? So I totally understand how difficult it can be, and I have a lot of love and respect for him. So when there was need to interview Barrister too, and I had to seek David's consent to say, you know what, can I interview you together with Barrister too? Because I wanted Nigerians, as I said earlier, what I do is to give information to Nigerians. So to break down, the core of what I do is to break down these conversations around politics, governance, economy to the barest minimum. And I always make a use speech in English to dwell. So the idea not be to use grammar, because oftentimes people run away from this conversation because of the language of presentation. So I thought if I simplify it, add a touch of sarcasm and humor here and there, it could help people understand and go with the flow more. So that's why I do what I do. And then I thought that Nigerians would be more informed if they hear from both sides and decide what to pick and what not to pick. And that was actually what I brought them. But unfortunately, it went the way it went. I'm not happy about the way it went. But then things like this happen on shows. I mean, it happens all over the world. So I don't think this is the first place it's happening. So that's why I ask you what's happened. It's nothing new. It is what it is. It's part of the job. So it's not a problem. Except you have specific questions, and I'm really open to answering them.
So like I said at the beginning, that there's more attention on what we do, and it impacts everybody. I've had potential guests that are called, and they feel that all your online media, that you are out of control. Like we said, they can control. They can call the owner of Arise TV and say, look, this guy is, I don't like what he's. There's nobody to call. In your own case, you are the one that is in charge, and you are the one doing the interview. And if they don't like what you're doing, they will just say, no, we're not going to come, because they don't want. So I'm trying to say that, is it the tension in the land that is making conversations to be tense too, or what is it?
How do you mean by tense conversation? Because
no. What I mean is that,
you think this particular interview was tensed?
Yeah, I think so. No,
I think it wasn't tense. I think it was just an issue of misunderstanding, and it happens anywhere in the world. It's a clear issue of misunderstanding. As a matter of fact, both people would have listened to each other, both guests would have listened to each other and agreed with each other if they both came with an open mind. And that is what didn't happen. One person feels offended, the other person feels that, what trash are you doing? So it's just the way it is. People have the right to feel what they feel. On one hand, David feels that Uto is a paid agent or a traitor for working for a Jutsol who owns a charity organization, whom perhaps benefits from the crisis in Nigeria, because the Westerners are the ones who put us in this crisis. And Barasoto, and he feels that there's something like Christian genocide. So anybody who's saying that is just looking at the surface. They're not looking beyond the surface. He may be right in his own way. While Barasoto feels that if there is something like Christian genocide, why did Othman Dafodio make the statement he made about dipping the Quran into the ocean? And why is it looking like almost everything that has been happening in Nigeria is systematically working towards achieving that purpose and all of that? Why can people not, even including areas where they do not have natural resources in their villages, why are people displaced in those villages and are not allowed to get back to their villages? Why do we have people of a particular religion living in those villages today, renaming people's villages to their own if it doesn't have a religious coloration? So you see, while Frank may be also right in his own perspective, David is also right in his own perspective. It's now how to marry these two together that became an issue, because perhaps one of them were intolerant of the other. So that's just all. It's not a big deal. It happens.
But I mean, at the end of after the interview, David wrote on his social media and some things about...
Oh yeah, he insulted me a lot too and called me idiot and all that, but it's fine. So you see, this kind of things happen. And I don't want to dig deeper into what played out in the conversation. As I said earlier, David is somebody I respect a lot, and I respect Barry Salto a lot too. And I'm in between two guests and two beautiful, amazing, intelligent men that I respect. I cannot give preference to one over the other. In fact, if I remember what happened that day at the backstage, Barasoto was running late for the interview. It was supposed to be, I think, 30 minutes earlier. He was running late, and he said he was running late. I could have started with David, but I said, you know what, let me reach out. And I already told him that, no, David cleared his schedule for this interview. It would be unfair for me to keep him waiting. Please, this is not fair. And he said, please, just give me 30 minutes. I had to screenshot that message I sent to David. This is what this guest is saying. What do you think? Would you rather I go on with you or you would wait? He said, no, fine, you would wait. You see, there was that communication because I had to ensure that. And I even told him, I said, I don't want to come off as being biased over, any other person. So I had to make the communication clear with you too. So it is what it is. The part that I do not agree with David as an audience is that he insulted the audience, including you who will go and watch that video tomorrow. Because from the moment I started taking calls, he murmured and said, I cannot be here listening to these more people. The fact that people disagree with your opinion does not make them foolish or stupid. So you may have an opinion, but you should have an open mind to also see their own aspect of argument. There may also be a possibility that your own opinion is correct and their own is correct. And maybe both things can be happening at the same time. Who knows? We can't tell. But your intolerance or ability to understand or see reasons, at least to the lightless or littlest minimum of what the other person is, the other person's perspective, is actually what got us where we are. So the only aspect I have issues with is, in fact, that was why I perhaps allowed more callers to go on, because people hearing him say, I can't be here and listen to more people, and now hear me cut off all the callers. You can even see the way I was rushing the callers. Hurry up. You need to go watch the full video. I was rushing them. I deliberately started with David because I wanted him to exhaust his opinion, and he did extensively, because I wanted people to learn. Again, the idea was not to bring them at loggerheads with each other. It was for people to learn. And that was why I started with his own perspective. Let people hear and understand him first. But you don't go calling your fellow panelist traitor because he was a white man. Now everything we white man do us. Not everything white man do us now. So even if the white people did it to us, there is a possibility that even if he's even a traitor, and even if the person he's working with is the reason why we are where we are, there's a possibility that he may not even know. He may just have, in his opinion, be doing an honest work. He doesn't know. So there are different ways to this conversation, and I think it's just one of those things that happen. And then again, of course, that's why we keep saying that the Nigerian security issue is multifaceted. It's diverse. In fact, it's hydra-headed. We know that, but our ability to calm down and see reasons with each other matters a lot. Again, I repeat, while we know that they are vested interest. I mean, who are the people mining our mineral resources today? Even the mineral resources we have, I keep asking that question even in my show. Almost all the mineral resources we have in the north, why are they not captured in our budgets? Why do we always benchmark our budgets with crude oil? Why are the rest mineral resources not captured in our budgets? What is wrong? What is going on? And the thing is that it is not possible for white people to use you or somebody else to use you if you haven't made yourself a willing tool to be used. I don't think it's possible. I think that these people have understood that the Nigerians or Africans are actually very greedy by themselves. Who sold us to slave trade? Is it not our own selves? Who were they using to punish ourselves? Is it not our own selves? So they took advantage of our greed and our superiority against each other, and they used that against us. So if there was no loophole or agenda to do anything, the white man would not see where to take that advantage from. Where is it that, I think I had another guest here that on Monday or so comment, ask that question. The conquered territories, why do they hoist Islamic flag there and call them Islamic caliphates? That, like you have in Gaza. Why would they call Gaza an Islamic, that they have conquered it is an Islamic caliphate? Why do they do that if there is no interest? So you now realize that there may be a possibility that more than one thing could be happening at the same time. My grounds with all of this is that genuine human beings are dying. See, I have spoken to people. I am currently in a bid to try to rebuild a house for a woman whose husband was killed by these people. She lost all her children. She was burnt. I know the pain in that woman's eyes when I spoke to her. It hurts me. I don't have a house of my own. I haven't built. But I want to see how I can reincorporate and build a house for her to start a life again. It is demonic what people go through in Nigeria. And the fact that it looks like we're helpless with the insecurity issue, it's what makes it even more annoying. The easiest way is stolen or you catch somebody who steals a property is when you see that stolen property in the person's hand. So how come we have people who are living in those places that are occupied by other people? In the displaced communities, there are people staying there. There are people who can access those displaced communities, but the owners of the communities cannot access them. There are people who have renamed other people's villages. Do you know what that means? That your father's house in your village, you can no longer go back to it again. you don't have a home again. Do you know what that means? And we have a government, and the number one priority of government cannot be to reclaim those land for those people, but rather we're reintegrating the people who put them in that condition. Doesn't even make sense. And then we blame the whites for that too.
All right, at this point, thank you, Precious. Let me mention that I reached out to David. I'm still trying to get him to come, not about this particular issue, but I always like him to give us his viewpoint, which is unique. I'm beginning to see that Nigerians are essentially divided into two groups. You know, there are people who think like David, and there are people who think like Frank. But,
no, but all of those angles can be correct at the same time. That's the point. All of those people can be correct at the same time. Again, I don't have problem with the Muslims. I have never had issues. One of the best friends I have today is a Muslim. I don't have a problem with them. But I have a problem with, I have a guest whose life was in danger because he said he's from Goza. I call him, I guess, yeah. He's from Goza community. I mean, you can see his interview on my page. And they were threatening to kill him for speaking out about saying that his community or his local government cannot be a conquered territory. And they're telling him that what we're doing is a work of Allah. The voice notes are there, I can send them to you. So tell me, will you tell that guy tomorrow that this is not religiously motivated? Is it easy to tell him if somebody is threatening his life for speaking out about his village, and the person who is threatening him is telling him that you cannot tell us that your place is not conquered. We're doing the work of Allah and we will not know rest until everywhere is conquered. And the person says that to him, and you can convince him tomorrow that it's the white man that told the person to say that, and not the people who want to conquer him. Is it easy to convince people of that? I don't know.
All right. Thank you, Precious. We take a minute break or two, and then we will be back and get you guys involved in the conversation.
Samishi onyoma de capilo. Oh lo 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 lo. Aturu bwebule wakawa iwariwo. Ice. Rosa olerio, Rosanna olerio, Rosanna olerio de kadima. Adure olerio. Adure olerio, adure, aturubwe bule waka wa iurio. Adure, adure lele, adure, adure lele. Idu wasamaka onyoma dika powder. Idu wasamuku onyoma dika fomu. Idu kwa samishi onyoma de capilo. Oh lo 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 lo. Aturu bwebule wakawa iwariwo.
All right, welcome back to our conversation with Precious Enyi, and she's been helping us understand the politics, the media space in Nigeria as we approach 2027. 7 elections. So let me bring in people. We have only 30 minutes with her. She came out from a show that she was moderating to be part of this conversation. So we appreciate that. All right, Precious, I have my people here. I will give them chance to ask you one question each. Hopefully you have to be.
They can ask me, yo. I'm fine, no. I'm not the fear.
No, not about fear. It's about your time that I'm worried.
All right. It's okay.
I'm just concerned about your time. I know you can take any question. So please, anybody, can you let's just be mindful of time so that we can get to everybody. She has somewhere to go. All right. So let me start with you, Chim. Welcome to the show.
Good day, and Precious. Nice to meet you again, and happy Sunday to you all.
Thank you. Happy Sunday to you.
Yeah. First of all, I want to appreciate what you do. It's not easy, especially in the media space, having an opinion or trying to run the kind of programs you run and bringing those guests and being caught in the web of those kinds of fire between guests. Well, my question is, I listened to your response on what the Nigerian journalists do and how they operate. While I agree with you that the climate in Nigeria, the media landscape is pretty hostile to journalists. I agree with you on that. But I still believe the Nigerian journalists and those who lead it are still culpable in a couple of ways. Why do I say so? Let's take, for instance, the media chats that Minister Wike holds every fortnightly, as it were. I don't think that's necessary. Why don't you just go and sit around and create this emperor-like environment for him where he sits and, spews the kinds of things he does, abuses people. After a while, if you do it the first time, you can excuse it. But the second time, people should say, no, we're not going to give you this platform to do this kind of thing. Because clearly when you know what he's up and against and what he's trying to push, in front of them, he threatened or used a very vulgar word for a journalist somewhere, that if he had his way, he would shoot the guy through the business. So at some point, the media needs to put their foot down and say, we will not give credence or give you the platform to come and do certain things. So I don't know, this is just a comment. You might want to respond to it, but
I will respond. And if they decide not to air it, what would they do with the airtime? And how would they make money?
So in other words, you're saying make money at all costs.
I'm just asking you now, if you were a media, if you were a media owner and you refused to take the interview, and of course, that's some millions gone for you, and other stations are carrying it, the news will still get out there anyway. So how would you make money?
No, I think you will still make money. You don't have to give credence to somebody who is clearly not being professional.
Please help me explain how you think media houses will make money or are making money in Nigeria, and why you think they can stay afloat if they don't take most of those things you think you don't like.
Then we shouldn't complain that the country is going the way it's going there.
So it's unfortunate. So when they say we're in a deep thing, you should understand.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Chim. Let's go to Mr. James. You're next. All right, Mr. James is having technical problems. Let's go to Tony. Tony, you're next.
Doctor, good afternoon. Madam P, greetings.
Is that my T.Y. Danjuma?
Yes, it is.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to see you here. My question actually is on the media. If you look at the social media, is there a way that it presents, the way it operates now, presents a threat to mainstream media? Is there the advent of social media, has it adversely affected mainstream media? That's my question. Thank you.
All right. That is absolutely yes, a big yes. As a matter of fact, I feel like Nigerians are still very backward with their approach to media, and we need. But that's why you see most media houses are now incorporating a lot of social media into their own media too, because they need to keep up with the game. It's natural. So Media evolves and it's evolving, and it's at that stage of still evolution still. But one of the dangers would be that almost everybody that comes up right now, it's a media personality. Anybody who can carry mic now and put on social media will be called a media personality. Whether they understand the ethics of the job or not, they are still called media personalities. There are requisite trainings and experiences that shape you as a media person, that makes you who you should be, which most of them lack. So you find out that they're a bit crude, unrefined, and at risk of almost propagating fake news. And that's why we have to be very careful and find a balance to it. A lot of people attack me most times that I don't carry some stories that some people carry. It is because I would rather carry that story late than carry a story in a hurry because I want to make views or break the story and it becomes a lie. Remember the last time some people carried that Wiki fell and got sick and almost died? I refused to carry that story. Remember? And then people were reminding me, why are you not carrying it and all that? I cannot carry those stories because first of all, I know who Wiki is, and I know that Wiki will be well and come and say that story is not true. I know. And I was able to make a few calls. I did not get a response from them. Because I did not get a response, I refused to carry the story.
Not because he's your brother.
No. Wiki is not my brother. so I mean, I'm sure that people just say that on the light side, lighter side. So it's better. And because of social media again, and you know what happens with clicks, people learn to be overly sensational so that they can get clicks. They, use rebates and all that to attract clicks and likes and views. And I try very much. And unfortunately, that's the way the YouTube algorithm is organized. If you're not a bit sensational, you're not a bit, like that, you can barely get views. But I try hard that even if I'm making my topic engaging or slightly sensational, but it's within the truth limits. It must be the truth. If it is not the truth, I'm not going to carry on. And when I am not sure if it's the truth, I put a question mark. Just so that you don't come and quote me tomorrow that this is what I said is true. That's because I am trained. Now, I am doing that because of my background as a media person. I've done over 20 years in this industry. And if I don't know who should, be telling me that. Unfortunately, most of these other people don't have all of that background. Apart from standing the risk of YouTube's giving you strikes and all that for spreading false information or fake news and all that, I value my personality a lot and my personal integrity. If I have to open my teeth and say that, I value my integrity a lot. So I am someone who respects. I respect my word so much, and I respect anything you tell me, and I take it for what it is. Same way I expect people to respect what they say to me too, what I say to them rather too. So I will feel very irked and unworthy if I say something today and it turns out not to be true tomorrow. I don't even know how I'll face the public. Even though I will not hesitate to come and say, guys, I goofed. Forgive me. I was misinformed. But how many times would you keep being, misinforming people? So what that does is that constantly, it gives you, it affects the integrity of not just your platform, but you as an individual. And I cannot risk that for myself. And that's why I can't go that direction. But yes, social media is a big threat to mainstream media. Again, mostly because stories like this I told you, where things are happening and I call, please give this guy a platform, and they say they cannot because of interest. You don't blame them. But then again, you blame them because what are you there for if you cannot do what you have to do? But it's unfortunate that the situation or the country is the way it is, which would perhaps stifle them from doing what should be done. It's unfortunate. So that's where social media overtakes them. So social media will not be the ones to fly with such stories and all that. But before I even interview such people, I make sure I see evidences that prove their stories. So I don't just go ahead to say, oh, because you say they've killed your parents, how did they kill your parents? And I just carry you. I must find out. I must see, so that tomorrow if I'm held against or there is a litigation, I can present it that these are the evidences I saw that made me take up the story. So.
All right, thank you, Tony. Let me go to someone in Nigeria. OBE, welcome.
Good, thank you, and member of the House. Precious Enyi, exactly what you said.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much.
You remember that I private chatted you after that interview with Barrister and David?
I can't
and you
remember.
responded. You actually responded.
Oh, wow,
you actually
really?
responded on the WhatsApp after that interview.
Okay. Wow.
You did a lot to manage the both of them. First of all, you had to remove one person, then another person talk. There was a lot. This new idea of phoning, it's difficult to manage people who call in, who you don't have a preview of what the person is going to say, or how the person is going to react to whatever is on ground at that day.
But you know, the interesting thing is that the two have been to my show before. They've been on my show more than
once. Yes, you had managed David.
And I've taken calls before, so they know that it is the nature of my show.
Thank you. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about you managing the situation. You have managed Dr. Barrister and David effectively at the beginning of the argument and the back and forth. You had to yank off one person, finish with the other one. The other one came up, and it came up. The reason why David went off the interview was because of your color, not because of Frankie. Frankie, you managed Frankie and both of them very well, and David was ready to proceed. But this lady that keep calling on your show that always heard the phone for a longer time was the problem. She kept repeating. She has made a point, but she stood on and started to use words that infuriated. David was wrong to have yanked off or all those things. He couldn't stand the whatever because he even have voiced it out. He had to tell you, this person is getting to me. At that point, as a manager of that floor at that time, he's supposed to yank off your collar at that point. She had made a point. She was not saying anything new, but she was trying to use every terminology to attack David. That was that David went off the show. And that was what made David angry. From my own perception of what happened that day, you were an effective manager. Two of them were fine. They were going to argue the case out at that point. And David was not going to leave until that caller came in. And anytime she come into your show, she always heard your call for a longer time, saying and repeating stuff. That was what happened. So at the end of the day, it's not easy because you, as a person, you're going to manage. You are managing the audience. You are managing two guests. You are thinking of your questions. You are rephrasing. You are reframing. It was a lot, but you did your best. Thank you.
Thank you, Obi. I'm trying to manage the time.
It's okay. It's okay. I can give you extra 10-20 minutes.
Oh,
so it's okay. While I appreciate the kind words that you have used so far, however, the core reason why I established the platform, I started doing this, is for the sake of the audience. If there was no audience, there won't be a David or a Frank to be in the show. They'll just be talking to me, and it wouldn't make sense. So the audience is an integral part of any platform, including a television station, a mainstream media television station. The audience is very important. And so most of them, or two of them, as I said earlier, have been on my show before, and they understand that the callers, in fact, a lot of them know that I have quite a form of very enlightened audience who dig deep, who probe conversations in depthly and not just on the surface. So they understand that. If you would also recall, from the first call I took, David was already cranky. If you want to be sincere to yourself, if you listen to that interview. So it wasn't just, I don't know, I think that was Laura. It wasn't just Laura's call that infuriated him. He was already cranky. And I think that the reason Laura's call infuriated him the most was mostly because she did not agree with him. Again, if a guest has an open mind, you should understand that there are people who have the right, to agree or disagree with your opinion. It is up to you to, after their call, meet them with a superior argument that will rubbish them. We did not have opportunity for that. You can meet them with a superior argument that would rubbish, that will make them feel stupid for that nonsense they did. That's what intelligence and maturity is about. But that's what we didn't have play out that day. I don't know why tempers flared up from the beginning when we were already taking calls. I think it was because of the argument. In fact, even with Barrister, did you hear the things he said? That I cannot stay here and watch you drool. That is the talk with saliva they come off for your mouth. Come on, your fellow panelist. Uto on his own part was also wrong for even saying a word while I was addressing David's own conversation. And that's why I had to remove him and put him on the back seat. So you see, people were wrong in their different ways. These things happen. So I do not think it was just about the caller that called in that caused the issue. There was already temper, if you noticed the conversation from the way it was. So.
Probably she made it worse.
Of course she would make it worse because she did not agree with him. But do you think David would have felt worse if she agreed with him and praised him and say, you're fantastic, everything you talk is true? Do you think he would have felt bad?
David was ready to continue. David was ready to continue until
I just asked the question, do you think he would have felt worse if she supported him and praised him to high heavens? Do you think he would have felt that way? And do you think he would have?
No, I think it was not about that caused the issue. The issue was that he had complained and he was supposed to stop the caller, but he didn't stop the caller on time.
Why stopped the first caller too?
Yeah.
So what is the essence of the show if people will not have their opinion, please? If I did that to you, would you like it? The essence of the
it was the vain repetition that actually I think cost it. The repetition, right?
I don't think there was too many repetitions. It's just that perhaps you laid out too many longer points. But it wasn't about repetition.
It's okay. It's okay. It's well.
All right. Thank you, Obi. Let's go to Mr. James.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much indeed. I remember some years ago, I think I was in Uganda, having good times with some people at a place called Nakawa in Kampala. They were discussing about corruption in Ugandan police force. And one of them said that the policemen were recruited from Uganda, not from any other country. A rotten society cannot produce a clean police force. The policemen were drawn from a rotten society. That is why they are corrupt. That habit, they imbibed it from the Ugandan community into the police force. The same thing is applicable to Nigeria. A rotten society cannot produce a clean workforce. All the segments, all the establishments in Nigeria, they have one form of problem or the other because the country is morally barren and bankrupt. We've attained a very high degree of moral bankruptcy, and there's nothing we can do about it. So I find it a bit surprising that we are criticizing the press. Mention one organization or establishment in Nigeria that is clean. Is it the medical doctors? Or is it the professors in the universities going to bed with school girls? Or is it the market woman? Right from the state house to family level, the entire country is in tatters because we are unable to govern ourselves. That is how I see it. And as for this David doing something, I believe truth is relative. They are both looking at a particular point from two different perspectives. I cannot fault any of them. And for you too, I cannot fault you because I remember when my father was alive, he told me that at your place of work, if everybody is telling you, Precious is a good woman, Precious is a good woman, you better watch your back. This is the problem I think you are running into right now. People are criticizing you for not taking sides, in this matter between David and the gentleman. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for coming, and we hope to see you some other time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. I guess I don't know what to say. Thank you. And about the corruption you mentioned, it is inside our bloodstream. And the corruption is just not just about public servants alone or public officers. It's in every way, including the homes. So I think we need to go back to rebuilding our homes and going back to teaching our children the morals that they need to go.
Madam,
it starts with us as parents.
The country is beyond redemption. Let's call it state. Nigeria is beyond redemption.
All right. Thank you, Mr. James. Let's hear from KJ. KJ, you're next.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. If you can hear me, I just want to thank you. I followed your broadcast right from the beginning, and I was calculating everybody's face, especially yours. At one time, I started praying for you that God will give you more patience because at that point I lost my own patience, and but you managed yourself. So I want to praise you. Can you hear me still?
Yes, I can hear you. I may have to take like 5 seconds. My inverter is running down, so I need to power the generator. But just quickly land your thoughts. This is Nigeria.
Unless you run, we can wait for you. We can wait for you. You are very important. You can go and.
Okay, so please let me fix that. I'll get back to you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Please give me a second.
Thank you. All right. So part of our reality media space, especially if you could be in an office. I remember when I was a reporter in Nigeria at the Daily Mail. We'll be ready to print the newspaper, and there was no lights, and the generator of the newspaper house broke down. And what do? You have to now it's easy to do, but then do you take all the materials to another newspaper house to print for the day, or you leave it? Sometimes we end up not printing, and this is a newspaper that tens of people went out to find stories and edit and put together.
Dr. Rudolph, I want to say something. You know, some people tell you journalists are supposed to be courageous. Are we supposed to be courageous to sacrifice our life, on the platter of whatever because we're journalists? I don't think any journalist goes out of his or her house and hoping not to come back that day. We forget sometimes that the journalists themselves have families, and you already know the terrain you are operating. I tell you something. A friend of mine was picked out after broadcasting ASO Radio FM. He was picked up on Friday. Nobody knew where he was. It was the grace of God that saved him, because he had already got into Asokoro extent part of Abuja. Okay, that's how these things operate. It's not as if even people know that you have been picked up. He was picked up, and for 3 days he was locked in the dungeon. Okay, for having said something on air that didn't go down well with somebody who is in government. So it's not as easy as we make it look. We are some form of law and order.
I'm sorry, Rudolph, I disagree with you. I disagree with you 100%. Today we celebrate that some journalists in the US revealed an information about the American president Nixon, who resigned. Delegawa died. I'm not asking you to go and die, but if, like somebody rightly typed here, if you don't want to do the job, step aside.
No, I refuse. I refuse.
No, sorry. That's every job. Hold on.
Refuse. You jumped in to let me also jump in.
I've listened to you.
Let me jump in.
But I listened to you.
No, let me finish, because you didn't wait for me to finish.
All right, go ahead.
Yes.
Go on.
You see, listen, let's take example. You are a soldier man. You signed. You know that when you signed, when you were signing up, they gave you 2 forms. They say you can die in the process. It's good. But do you go now because you have already signed, and then you go and stand before a machine gun so that you be killed, and so you go? That's what it is. We must, despite the fact that we have signed for this, we still have to practice with some form of sense. Okay. That's what it is.
I've heard you.
So,
here's my point again. That's a bunch of Milwaukee, like Biden would say. It's all hypocritical. Every job comes with occupational hazards. The military man you've mentioned knows that critical to his job is that he can die. He could be fired. He's not going to go and stand in front of a machine. Nobody says that. Nobody says a journalist should go and no. But I'm going to I will put more of my reasons later on at the posts, because I want to respect the guests we have. But the point I want to make is today some of us sit down here and we celebrate Western journalists when they reveal things, bring out information, take risks that eventually help society. I'm of the view that if Nigerian journalists have been doing their job very well, by this time they'll have played that job as the fourth. How do you call them? Fourth estate of it so well that we won't be having people like the man we have in Aso Rock and his clique. It is because the journalists are not doing their job. They are taking this brown envelope that we're talking about. That is why we're where we are today. So you can sit down here and gloss over it all you care.
Oh, Jim,
as far as I'm concerned, the journalists we had back in the days, the Azikiwes, even the Awolos, the kind of journalism they did that put them in trouble with the colonial elites. Many of our journalists of today don't want to tread in that particular realm anymore. They don't want to. Because I see the reason why we should be giving Enyi a platform every quarterly to come and be saying all the kind of things he's saying. So
is it,
journalists is
Chim, you guys are not listening to what she said. And I'm just going to take what she said.
Don't bring her in. Don't bring her in. No, don't bring her in. Please leave her out.
Hold on. I'm using that to make my point. Not because I'm bringing her in. The media in Nigeria are owned by mostly politicians. Are you going to report against the person who owns the house that is paying you? Are you going to do that? And if peradventure, like, I want to put a point straight to you. There's a guy who used to be called Benga Roroba, who used to present the Face the Nation in AIT. Where is he now? How many Nigerians are bothered to find out where he was and what happened to him? Look, let's not. This is not a. It's not a. This is real life situation. It's not a. We're not writing a fiction.
We can make as much excuses as we want.
What I'm simply telling you is that even if you have the guts to report the way you want, there is going to be a price for it. That price is two. You may be taken off. That's one. Or you may not be even able to find yourself and your family don't know where you are. I'll give another example. I used to have a friend who is an American. And she came to Nigeria and discovered that majority of what they were calling NGOs were a setup. And she wanted to to report it. She made a report. She took that report. I won't call the names of the ministers she met. And that report got to the highest office in Nigeria to tell them exactly what was going on in some of the NGOs. You know what happened to her? They sacked her. She was blacklisted in Nigeria, even though she was a very senior officer in the NGO world. She was blacklisted for 2 years. She couldn't get anybody, even though she's an American, carrying an American passport. Real American. I'm not talking about those who left for Nigeria, became Americans. She had to come back to America to start job. Even when she got back to America, the NGO world will not employ her. Let's not do this. We sometimes overstate these things the way they are. This is real life situation. Not be movie. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
All right, thank you guys. Someone wrote on the comment section. Let me see if I can catch it now. The person said, I was trained as a journalist. I found out that it was risky. I took a bow. That Jim is right. So what he's saying is that if you can't do the job the way it should be done, you should leave. Which is what, but the point is that, we can call the legal one, call whoever we think did well, but there are different aspects of journalism. That's something that we, first of all, forget. There are people who are just editors. They don't go and find news. Their job is to edit the story when it comes in, fashion it, and make sure it's published. There are people, different aspects of journalism. So sometimes when we put it all together, we expect everybody to be a delegate or to be any outlet, to be Sahara reporters, to be Premium Times. No, there are people whose job is to process ordinary information and publish it. It's also important. The most important thing for us who are consumers is to say, without these people, if they are not professional, there's something that Precious was talking about. She didn't expand on that, about what you learn, even if you don't go to school and you get into journalism, because that's what happens most of the time. People don't really study that. There are things you learn by being in a proper professional setting. But what we are now seeing is that people just, like she said, get a camera, start a blog, and you're a journalist. You go out there without that training. So there are so many things that could go wrong when you don't have the proper training. And then the online media, they take risk every day. But people don't even understand it. People don't appreciate it. People think it's not easy. So the point that I think that is important is to always remember, okay, Precious is here. Let me shut up. Okay. Where was I? Okay, so she went off again. Okay, yeah. Precious, thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Sincere apologies. So one of the things you have to face, I'm almost not on the grid because we barely have lights. We'll have alternate days, and when we have alternate days like this, if it's not a very sunny day, my inverter won't be probably charged, so it's a problem. But
I mean, you are in good company. Aso Rock is not on the grid. You are not on the grid, so
I say when I know get, I still day. When Aso Rock get leave, I come on finally leave us, but it's okay.
All right. I think KJ, I think you were the one who was.
Yes. And I was going to say thank you so much for giving those of us who are of the low IQ opportunity to have an interview with you.
So that's where I have a problem. Nobody get low IQ.
No. I'm just quoting what was
spoken. I'm agreeing for you, sir, for that one. No vex. So everybody IQ did okay.
Why am I saying that? I really had a problem with that, because when you are talking to the audience and you have so much of yourself, it becomes, no matter how much of the truth you have, it becomes a problem for them to digest it. And I don't think that it is your caller that made it, because it was already flipping before that caller called. It was already flipping because Frank will not agree what he's saying, and that is it. But my question to you is, how do you be able to ask your question and not be tempted to, I don't know if you have been called bias so far, I don't know if you have been called fake so far, but how do you now be able to, you give the Nigerian situation as, dry-headed, situation. Why is it difficult for the government to even, since it's the government that is organizing or controlling everything, why is it difficult for them to pick up, just like Mali did yesterday night, deal with the issue once and for all? That's one. Two, how now do you remove yourself, not people thinking you are biased because you are asking certain questions they don't want to ask, or they don't think you should be asking, or they don't think it's favoring their own narrative? You ask those questions, and many times you ask that question. How do you now be able to balance it? When they say, oh, look at the question she's asking, she's even biased because she's speaking in this direction or that direction. Thank you.
To be frank with you, I have been called all sorts of names. In fact, when I was in mainstream media, they said I was APC woman leader. I speak on behalf of APC, so it's normal, it happens. And then while I am on my own now, because some of the guests I bring in hammer mostly on what's going on, the killings of Nigerians and all that. Some people say, oh, you're against the Fulanis, you're against Islam and all that. It's unfortunate, but I think that those who understand the job and the profession understand that I'm on the side of nobody. I just want to get information out there for people to talk. So usually what I do is, when you have a guest whom you understand his body language and the direction he tilts towards, I deliberately play the devil's advocate. And at times my listeners would feel very offended and say, you're asking obvious questions. But the fact that you think those questions are obvious does not mean that the other person will think it's obvious. It may not be obvious to them. So we must understand that we're communicating with people, just like you said, with different background and knowledge. What may be obvious to you, what you think it's okay, may not be an information that is accessible to the other person. So there is a need to reiterate that. And most times when I ask those questions, of course, it's not because I'm bereft of the answers or I'm not aware of what's going on. I'm aware, but there is a need to re-echo them. So most times I ask either for sarcasm, for need for emphasis, or for clarification. It is very important so that I cannot let somebody, I cannot allow somebody to come here and say, oh, I know so person is a drug addict. How? You come and tell me. So even if you tell me, oh, because he forfeited the life, a social amount of money, but court no talk saying be drug addicts. So why we call him? I mean, be drug pusher. So why we call him drug pusher? So I cannot let you use my platform or even be in an environment where I'll let people peddle unsubstantiated claims about people and I'll just keep quiet. My duty as a journalist is to probe that question. And it is fine if people think that, oh, you're supporting the status quo, you're supporting the government because I'm probing that. It is what it is. But what people do not understand is that daring to even have the conversation on its own is a risk. And it's even a great job. Truth is that in the media, I think I said this a couple of times, I'll say it again, that in the media, what we call the news is what we bring out to present the news to be. Do you understand? That is to say that if I decide to play down on a particular story and not carry that story, you go call our news. You know, we'll call our news. Now, the one we amplify, we will bring for front. Now you go call news. A typical example is people are dying, killings are happening. How many times will the people with the authority to respond to them? Because they feel like if they respond to it, they give flesh to that news and it's against them like they're not working. So they play the other way. They keep quiet. They don't talk. So how many times do you see mainstream media talk about the killings that's going on in Nigeria as much as I talk about them? Me, I am just human. I feel bad because I feel like at the where we are in Nigeria now is a place where it can be anybody at any time. And that's the truth. It could be anyone at any time. So if I fail to talk about it, God forbid, it becomes my turn. What happens? The little part I will play or role I'll play by at least calling attention to what's happening, maybe so that will ginger the government enough to do their work. It's something. But the fact that I bring you to talk about it and you now say, no, it is government, it's their ineptitude, and I ask you how, and you tell me I'm supporting the government. it is my duty to ask you, even though I'm having that conversation. So presenting that conversation on its own, it's doing the job. Because if I didn't want that conversation, I wouldn't even bring it up. And that's what a lot of people fail to understand. The fact that you carry a particular conversation on its own is in fact is a job that you're doing already. It shows that you want clarity, you want attention on that thing you're bringing that job for. So I cannot be bringing up a conversation where I think I'm already in support of a particular party. No, the fact that I bring up that conversation, it's that I'm willing to draw attention to that particular conversation. It's already a job on its own. So I don't have to open my mouth and say, okay, I support it. I think, and again, maybe because I'm from the olden days background of Radio Nigeria, and that's still working in my mind. So every time I work or practice journalism, I still remember, see what NBC just did the other day, that presenters must not show that they have an opinion and making the opinion look like a fact, even though that opinion represents the facts out there. I don't know if you saw the secular.
Yeah,
that's like right to media.
Follow up to you.
Yes, so this is what a lot of people do not understand about media practicing in Nigeria, practicing media in Nigeria. By practicing media in Nigeria, first of all, I am not, it's against the NBC rule for me to have an opinion. As a presenter, I'm supposed to be, neutral in any conversation. That's what I am expected or is expected of me. And apart from that, I am not supposed to allow you talk down on a particular group of people or entity. So you cannot come here and say APC are thieves and allow you go free. No, it's against the NBC rule. I don't know if you get my point. It is not my duty to do so. So people are not, I said, again, that's the risk of social media. So because social media allows that and all that, we make it look like it's a norm. The fact that I'm not in social media does not mean that I will not still practice journalism in the best way it should be practiced, while still getting the right information out there to people.
All right. Thank you, KJ. Let's move on to John Abba.
Rudy, good to see you. You look glass on your AI glasses. It's a good look. Thank you. It's nice to see you, Precious. My question is this. When you see that two people in your show or anywhere else, and you have an idea of the superior argument, what do you do with it?
When there are two people in my show and I think that my idea is a superior argument.
Now, let me reframe it again. When you listen to someone or two people or people have argument before you, and you have understanding of the person that have a superior argument over the other one, and what do you do with it?
I'll further question the person with a less inferior, an inferior argument to make him see reasons and to find out if he sees reason with the person with the superior argument.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me get a question from the comments. This is from Pansat. He said, how is Rufai able to do it? So I think he's referring to what you just described in the NBC's rule. How is Rufai able to do that?
Okay, so my name is Precious Enyi. You understand? That's my name. And then we should understand that there is a way Nigeria is. What Sunday Igboho did and got away with is not what Nnamdi Kanu is getting away with. That is the way Nigeria. It is the bitter truth, but it stares us in the face, and that is what a sad reality is in Nigeria. Because Mr. A is doing it, does not mean that me, Precious Enyi, will do it. Rufai is an amazing guy, and of course, he says it the way it is. It does not mean that I do not say it the way it is, but somehow I say it in a way that you may not understand because I add a bit of sarcasm, I add a bit of playing the devil's advocate and all that. But if you choose not to understand and your mind does not gauge you in that way to understand my own aspects, because I haven't spoken it out like that, it's okay with your understanding. It's fine. Everybody should have the right to practice what they have to practice. But again, speaking about this, Nigeria is a place where, because especially in fact, I've never seen Nigerians as divided as this administration, as they've been in this administration. It's never been that way. It is very bad. Very, very bad. See what is happening in South Africa. I talked about it yesterday. Ghana is already taking it up with the South African government on how they're treating their people. Nigerian government is still mute. over what's going on in South Africa. People are saying it's because it's only a particular group of people that are dominant Nigerian citizens in South Africa. So you want me to go and talk, and then what happens to me when my name is not Precious Lagbaja? No. And then for people who are saying, look, people have died, and if we mention likes of Gilegiwa and the rest of them, you want me to die like Gilegiwa? I will not die now. I don't know if you understand. So when you people try to push people to do things that would endanger their lives, that the Yati today is gone. Nobody knows where he is. Nobody is feeding his children he left behind. Nobody is taking care of his wife. The world will push you to the extreme, and if anything happens to you, they will leave you. In fact, they will move to the next available platform and leave you alone. But they're the ones who pushed you to it. I'm not going to let anybody push me to that level. I know exactly what I'm doing. And I'll do it at the best, to the best of my ability and best industrial practices without hurting anyone. And that's what I am about to do.
Thank you. Let's go to Michael. You're next.
Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay. All right, Rudolph. Good afternoon. Precious. I was just watching one of your shows just now and before you came in. The story of Ekpo and Mayowa. I said, you have some guests over there at that show. Those women are they're very good, and they say the truth of the mind. So and I follow you a lot on the internet, and then you've been very good, and I enjoy your show very much. My question to you about it is the wave situation of the political situation in Nigeria today. Looking forward to 2027, it seems that APC is trying to absorb other political entity. Are we going into one-party nation, or do you think with this other group of people collaborating, and they can come up with a solidified candidate to stand against Tinubu? What is your opinion on that? And then hold that aside. And the question this is that with the situation, I really appreciate you for following the killing in Nigeria, which is very bad. But that we grew up in the North, that we were born over there, we grew up, we never thought that country is going to be like this. Because when we are in the North, we are the same. That's how we thought it to be. But growing up as a young man, I see this problem brewing up. Because especially in the certain area where I grew up, where you have religious organizations that only worried about giving their set of just religion aspects. And that's why the concept of Boko Haram came to life. That's Western education, because I see that we see the Al-Majiri. Even because I happened to be at University of Maiduguri before I left Nigeria. And my first social concept I want to write is about how are we taking care of these folks for the future of this nation? Because we don't give them a right education, the right perspective. What is going to come out of them? Thank you so much. And please, after this, don't forget to leave your information where we can support you with your own private.
I don't want support. I've always said it that I don't want to, so that nobody will drag me. So I don't want support. So sorry, let me get to two questions clear very, very quickly, please. The first question is in what?
The political situation, one party, like is taking all over Nigeria now, with APC.
All right. And the second question?
Is about the background of this religious Boko Haram, all these religious things coming, even though we know about they're coming from North Africa, which the ground already in Nigeria is absorbing. It allows that to festicize. So that's what I mean.
All right. So speaking about the politics, truth be told, if there is a free and fair election in Nigeria, Nigerians can actually decide. I agree, Nigerians are largely divided along religious and ethnic lines, so much so that they feel that, because it's not your brother that is in power now, so you think that you want to bring our brother must do his 8 years complete. There's that sentiment, and we get that, irrespective of how fairly or poorly the person has performed. So we get all of that. But if the politicians are serious, in fact, not even the politicians, if Nigerians are serious, they will take back their country. And I believe that the reason why it's not happening the way it should happen, it's because there's paucity of information. And I think I've stated this before, that Nigeria is still largely very traditional in terms of information dissemination. I like to believe that the core north is actually much more politically enlightened than the rest of us in the south, because they still get their information from their transistor radios and all of that, so they get information. Most of us down south barely care about our radio, apart from the civil servant and enlightened minds. But remember that we're dealing with a population of people who are largely either illiterate or either uneducated or half educated. So it's not easy to pass information across. So I think that the first problem we have is that Nigerians don't even know what their right is. They don't know what an ideal government should do for them. They don't even understand the concept of a social contract. The fact that they have a social contract with government is supposed to be using these mineral resources to better their life. They don't understand all of that drama, and it's a problem. It's a problem. So there needs to be, and this is actually what the role that National Orientation Agency, the rest of them should be doing. There must be reorientation and constant orientation of Nigerians in terms of this. But unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I'm forced to believe that people in power would rather have you uninformed because it suits their narrative. So that's a problem. So when we have agencies who are supposed to do certain things, unable to do those things because it suits them, your illiteracy and your lack of information is to their benefit, it becomes a challenge and a problem. And that's why we are where we are today. And it's going to be very hard for us to get out of it. But can we get out of it? See, there's something about an informed mind, and I think I said that yesterday. A mind that constantly gets information and that understands the power of information they have can take the right action. Nigerians can take the right action if they understand what is going on, but they don't understand. Most people don't. I mean, most Nigerians are still averagely just there, like, anyhow, I don't know. They just make the country hard, make it a good year now. We don't know anyhow we will go manage and God go help us. And they have so blinded us with religion that we make it look like it's God that has to come down to help us, without understanding that 80% of what we pray for is what government should actually do for us. But we expect a supreme being to do it for us. That's why most Nigerians, once they travel abroad, their prayer points is cut by more than half, because there's actually nothing to pray about. The government over there is doing exactly the things or answering their prayers, and we think it's magic. It's not magic. The worst part is that most of those countries don't even have half of the resources that Nigeria has. And then we're still where we are today. It's unfortunate. But again, I say, with the right set of mind, with the informed information, with equipping their minds rightly, it can happen. But how do we pass that information? That's where the problem is, because we're still very challenged in terms of information dissemination. That's where the problem really lies.
All right. Thank you, Precious. Let's go back to Nigeria, to Maska. Maska, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Rudolph. I don't like the fact. Are you putting me forward because I'm in Nigeria? Or
no. What I'm trying to do is give preference to people in Nigeria because of electricity, internet, and I appreciate the fact that you are paying. We're not paying you.
That is an insult. That is an insult on us. I cannot take that sitting. I have to stand up.
Rudolph, I will go to the queue. I think my internet is stable, and I think my electricity will still be there. So let me be like any other person. Like Nigeria is.
Okay, I understand. This
I will take my place in the queue.
But you came before the rest of them.
Thank you. No, well, actually, I had to go and pray. But anyway, so let me just quickly, for the benefit of time, Madam Precious,
sir,
I have to be upfront with you. I'm not a fan of yours.
You don't have to be, sir. And I respect that.
And I have to respect what you're doing. But be that as it may, Rudolph is somebody I deeply respect. And I believe there's a reason why you're here. And I think it's important that we keep talking to each other. And I think essentially that's what he keeps trying to promote. Even people you don't agree with, sit with them, have a chat. Okay, so I'm not going to go to the part where I don't mostly agree with you. I will try and stay with the part that I so far today.
No, you can go through all the routes, so I know the fear.
No, it's okay. I know what I feel.
No. As a matter of fact, I don't know you, so whether you agree with me or not, it's not even my problem. So
no, it's okay.
you can go through all the routes, and I can. No, what I'm trying to say is that we can disagree to agree very intelligently. That's the point I'm making. We're here to enlighten each other. And I'm here, to see that happen. So I don't have a problem.
Okay, on that.
Not everyone in the world will ever agree with everyone.
Fair enough. On that, this is what I would say. Okay. And this is why I take the position I've taken right now. In my mind, there's always what I call a primary goal. Okay. And probably maybe a subsidiary goal. If the purpose why we are talking to each other is to understand each other, therefore, that understanding should be the primary goal. A subsidiary goal is to be very frank with each other, very open with each other, very brutal with each other, but that would still be a subsidiary goal. I can choose the language I speak, I can pick the tune, I can even pick the topics we will start with. By the time we get to know each other and I agree with each other, then we can begin to take the other topics. This is all I'm saying. And one of the places I disagree with you, I will just briefly touch it, is because I think you are always trying to get to what you call the truth. But in an attempt to do that, what I see with your channel is that it's increasingly an echo chamber where dissenting voice really are not even, how do I put it now? They are not fettered, they are not watered, and I think that a true journalist, even if at a rudimentary level, he should try at least, yes, truth is very important, but the balance of the storyline is always very important. One of the reasons why I decided not to be too hard is because you said a couple of things that really have taken me aback and made me a bit impressed that, okay, maybe the lady it's finding it difficult because of the environment. She's not being at her best, but she's much better than what. Okay, so let me put it this way. I think from the things you've said today, I've come to the conclusion that you're much better than the product I see on your channel. For instance, when you showed the difference between Fox and CNN, I was really impressed because essentially this is the bane of journalism today. As a listener, like on this Iran war, I cannot listen to one channel and get any correct news. I don't like Fox, but I have to go to Fox and listen to Fox, and then go to Al Jazeera, go to CNN, and then use the mathematics in my head to come to conclusion where the actual truth may lie. So I'm just saying that I think you need to do more in terms of balancing the output.
What do you mean by balancing now? What do you mean by doing more in terms of balancing, in terms of bringing guests?
Okay, so let me go back to the episode that Mr. Rudolph.
No. I'm sorry, but I would like us to really trash this interests because I'm also here to learn and unlearn. Yeah, so what do you mean by balancing? Are you saying that?
I'm about to give you an example.
Okay,
that
all right.
you can relate to.
All right, go ahead.
So I'm going back to the episode Mr. Rudolph put up. Okay. Now, in my mind, I think it was a very pivotal point for the country. I wouldn't say the country. You also alluded to the fact that we Northerners, I don't think most of us will go to your channel. You have said it. We'll go probably to BBC Hausa service and get an. So, but the key issue for me, it's at least even the Southern audience, bringing David, who was a dissenting voice. I think it was very, very important. And when Obi was trying to advise you that, okay, look, this is the reason why this guy left. I didn't like the fact that you dragged with him, and I felt, look, he was just giving you a good feedback. It's not for you to defend your actions. It's for you to take and probably build upon it. My own opinion, even I watched that show, my opinion also that you yourself created the problem. When David said something, you now interrupted David and say, is it okay for you to say that the person who has been affected by something, not to be emotional? Go back and look at the clips. That was when the other lawyer, now it was more like a prompt. That was when he now barged in. And I think that for you as a moderator, even if you believe that it was wrong for David to have said that, for the sake of balance, you would have allowed the other person to say what he's saying as much wrong as it is. So I'm just giving you a feedback, and the feedback I'm giving you is for you to take. It's not for you to defend. I'm not a journalist, so I don't know journalism.
I am not defending, but I'll respond to you. So I'm waiting for you to land your thoughts, sir.
Okay. So for me, that's that side. And the real question I really wanted to ask is that I like it when you said you would rather follow the stories. And I totally agree with you. When I look at the Iran war, my take is that that crisis, essentially, the story behind that crisis revolves around China, just like you rightly pointed out. So on that, I totally agree with you. But the question I wanted truly to ask you, if we are following the story behind the issues, so I look at Nigeria, there's a lot of suffering, things are going wrong, there's a lot of problems, okay? And truly, just like you, I don't like to talk about what the Senate president said, where the president is going, where there's no light. I think these are just the issues, but what is the story behind the issue? So my question to you is, in your own opinion, Precious, what is the story behind the problem in Nigeria?
All right. Thank you, Maska. Precious, before you answer, let me just add this because it's similar. There's a question on the comment section from Kulata. It says, why are you addicted to bad news? One-way traffic, no balance, something like that. So you can put it all together and answer.
All right. So let me start from that question. I am not addicted to bad news, and it's unfortunate that we barely get the real news apart from through press conferences of politicians. And those for me are not the core news. Oftentimes when government have done something great, I come to my platform. In fact, people will be telling me, did they give you money? This way you're coming to Christine over here and all that. I do that personally. If you said you've been on my platform and you haven't seen that before, that's very unfortunate. I do that a lot. However, nobody deserves to die. Nobody deserves to lose loved ones. Nobody deserves to be neglected, even in their pain and suffering in Nigeria. If the role I have to play is to keep, reminding those whose responsibility it is to protect our lives and property, then it's a good thing. Now, if I don't talk about the bad news, which is actually what happens every day in Nigeria, what should I talk about? That Tinubu has given us light. Please help me direct the question to the person who said it. I'd like to know what he expects me to talk about. That we've had lights, that our lives are much better than it ever was, that what is exactly going on? If people are dying unnecessarily, and these are actual human beings, and if Nigeria is in a place, I don't know if you're aware that, I don't know if they're terrorists or whoever they are, or kidnappers, got into a house in Lagos State and kidnapped a woman and are demanding for 60 million naira in Lagos State. So when I say we're at the point where it can be anybody at any time, that's almost how it is like. And every time I say that, I always remember to tell people, look, this insecurity precedes President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is not his making. So we're not blaming him for it. But I also do know that after God in heaven, government in any country is the next. So what are they doing with that powers that they have? So if I refuse to talk about human beings dying, because it's something that affects everybody and can affect anybody, what else should I talk about? And that's not bad news. That's not spreading of bad news. I don't see that as that. I see that as being humane and putting the people first. Is it fair that it appears or make it seem like we have government without empathy? That people are dying and they're moving around their normal businesses. You all are in foreign countries. Tell me if the things happening in Nigeria will be happening in your countries and your presidents behave the same way our leaders behave. Will it happen? So what makes it unusual for me to talk about those cases? Because we're looking at human beings and human lives. So no, I don't like bad news at all. In fact, there was a time I used to give, I remember when I was sitting in Radio Nigeria, when I do newspaper headline, I used to say that I look forward to taking a story one day, reading all the newspapers without one bad story. It will give me joy. And you think that doesn't take its toll on my own mental health, hearing all the stories, The fact is that I even see more than I actually report. It's not everything you see and hear that you report, because of course you can't see all of them for the sanity of the society. So no, I don't even say half of what I see or what I know or information I get, for so many reasons. Okay, so addressing my brother's concerns, first of all, speaking on the handling of the show, you know, it's always easy for you to think that it would have been better handled if you're not the one in the position. I hate to talk about things. I'm not a social media person. I don't like to drag people. I don't like to talk about it. But even before I started taking calls, even before I made that comment that you said infuriated David was already pissed off if you studied his body language. But it's okay for you not to believe that. From the first time I put them up in the conversation at the backstage, Oto joined me first before David. Oto had to greet David 3 times before he answered. So I could sense the energy already, and I'll be very stupid if I wasn't discerning enough to sense that I was a certain energy. I hate to have to be the one to say this, but I have to say it here. I sensed that there was an energy already that was unfit, that was improper. I already sensed that. And that's why I tried my best to calm them down as much as I could. You're not the one handling the show. I am the one who attended to both guests. So I could sense what was going on. So no, it wasn't me chipping in. And what was wrong with me asking, you know, having a follow-up question, asking a follow-up question? It's called follow-up question. The question I asked David on what he said, it was a follow-up question. I said something, he responded, and I said, is it fair for you to say what you said? I shouldn't have asked him so that I don't make him angry and then I'll become an ass leaker. Then how am I supposed to hold government accountable tomorrow if he was a government agent that was talking to me? But you'll be fine if it was Tinubu and asked a follow-up question. You will not be fine if it was a David. Why? So because it happens to the person that we're not comfortable for us to ask the question to, it becomes a bad thing. But if I had asked a question, a follow-up question that suits you, it would have made you happy. You see the way the world works.
Just for the record, Precious, I don't like David as a journalist. Just have that at the back of your mind.
It's okay whether you like it, but I'm just saying, your problem with me is that I asked him a follow-up question that infuriated him. And I said I have every right to ask that question because I would have asked any other person such follow-up question. It's a normal thing in journalism. I have the right to ask questions. And honestly, I had no intention that it would bring issues when I asked that question. I was just looking at issues from human perspective. And that's why I asked that question. As a human being, let's be humane. Would you say it's fair to tell people who lost loved ones that are being emotional? I was just looking at things from the face of humanity. And anybody who has known me for long will know that I'm somebody who's very charitable and who cares for humanity. And that's, you know, something, anything that benefits, you know, the larger world, I pay attention to it. So it wasn't about that. I've forgotten the other question you asked me so that I don't.
Okay, I look, let me repeat. You know, when you were talking, you said you don't follow more like the events, you follow the story.
Behind the story.
It's a good example
yes.
that you don't follow what Israel has done today or what Iran has done yesterday. You are you are more like a person that's interested in why is this thing happening? And you gave your opinion that you think all this episode, the real genesis is China. So my question to you is that there are a lot of such events. Today, Senate President will say this. Tomorrow, President will go there. Today, there is no light. Tomorrow, there is insecurity. These are all events. In your own opinion, Precious,
sir,
what is the story behind this place we found ourselves, that these stories every day are coming out? What really is the story behind Nigeria's predicament? Why is Nigeria why it is? What is the story behind that?
Fantastic question that you have asked. Very great question you asked. And the story is in the hands of our politician. There is no single leader today that has taken up the mantle of leadership in Nigeria that does not know the truth about what's going on in Nigeria. So let's go back and ask them that story, because not me will tell you. All of us know. They know what is going on. And it's painful that And because it's hard for me to believe that a politician will aspire to take up power as a president or as a senator without understanding the core of Nigeria's issue. It's not possible. So I want to believe that they know what is going on, the real core of our problem. And that is why it is more painful that they know and they are not addressing it. Why are we shying away from addressing that issue that is the core of our problem? And that's why it becomes painful. And that's why it looks like there is inaction from government. Because no government will tell you that. I mean, if somebody comes here to say that, David comes to say that it is the Western world, and Frank says that is an idea. Yesterday, I played a video of a Yoruba former senator saying that is a Fulanization agenda. Frank says that is an Islamization agenda. We have these three perspectives. And you're telling me that the person who took the mantle of leadership in this country is unaware of all of these three perspectives and hasn't done investigation about them. It's not possible. So the answer lies in our politicians. The day they are ready to tell themselves the truth, they will address the situation. Or Nigerians will make them address it. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Maska. Let's go to Chris. We have two more people after Chris. Chris, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir.
Mine is just a comic one. I want to report to Precious, to Rudolph. Precious Bualarized one of your anchors. In her program. So, one thing with this imperialist conspiracy theorists is that they hate the imperialists. They love to keep what the imperialists built. And so when they lose an argument, they start patronizing. So I don't know what Rudolph will do to you, but I just want to report that you burglarized one of his anchors. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Precious, you don't have to answer that.
I don't even know what he's talking about, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, I know what he's talking about. But let's go to... there's a question on the comment section. Somebody wanted to know, why is it difficult? Where is it, Danny? Why is it difficult to find evidence in Nigeria? Hold on, let me find it. Hold on. Okay, I think it was directed at me. Having practiced in Nigeria, why is it difficult to find evidence? I think, okay, in support of, you mentioned evidence, how difficult it is to find evidence. There's another question, but anyway, let me let Forefathers, maybe I'll get to that. I'll find it later. Forefathers, welcome to the show. We're here discussing Nigeria's politics and media with Precious Enyi.
Got all this for people. Greetings, Dr. Damages, and thank you for having me. And greetings to the panelists, greetings to the chat and to the viewers. And I'll give special greetings to Madam Precious Enyi, and thank you for joining us here.
Good evening.
And I had a few things that I find a little bit unsettling with the way you said something about, because of danger, people should not endeavor to do the right thing. And also, the argument you gave against David Udein, because in that discourse about feelings, a professional should know that people that are generally close to events lack objectivity. That is what David Udein was trying to highlight. There is a reason why a doctor does not operate on family members, and conflict of interest contracts are often put forward, because objectivity is something that is paramount in any discourse. And I expected, and I think Maska tried to highlight some of his concerns. And from what I saw, it was very unprofessional, because Udein was speaking from a dispassionate point of view, trying to analyze the issue, but you were making it about feelings. And he reduced a conversation that is very, very serious and very important to feelings. Talking about baby's head getting split in half conversation. There is a reason why we go to doctors. There is a reason why we seek professional assistance for things, because our knowledge, because of proximity, is not enough. But you didn't get that. And I was very disappointed when I saw that. I even tried to highlight it on the live that I had there. Obviously, your fans always love that kind of stuff. They do that kind of stuff. And I hate that in Nigeria, because we don't get to the truth of things. Master asked you just now, what is the story behind the story? And you went on and said the politicians are the story behind the story. That is not an answer. You didn't give us any answer what this issue is. There is a lot of insinuation with things in Nigeria, and when we cannot know what is true, at least close enough to what is true, you have people groping in the dark. And I find that very disturbing, because that's my job here. That's why they don't like me. They don't like me because when you say something, I will say, what is the basis of your statement? It doesn't matter what I feel against you or not. I will ask you what is the basis of your statement. You have to provide evidence for it. But that is not what happened in that discourse. And when I also got on board, you actually agreed with my argument that we needed more security officials. But the reason why they were happy was because we were badgering me because I said that the Nigerian people need to be aware of what they need to do to their government. And you stated here yourself, most Nigerians are not aware of these things. So the idea is to leave them like that. Nigerians are not aware. But our job is to enlighten them to be able to do these things, make these precise demands so that things can change for the people. You failed them that day because you were focusing on sensationalization. You were trying to attack me, even when you agreed with my argument. Why do we do that? I'm asking you, why do we do that? Why do we lack objectivity?
All right, thank you for this.
Can I respond?
Yeah, Precious, go ahead.
All right, I think has ended up also showing his. I am just realizing that he was a person that appeared on my platform the other day. I didn't even know. It's very unfortunate. First of all, I've never met you before. I don't know you. I wouldn't have remembered if not for the same background you used the other time that you use now. And then you mentioned the incidents that happened on my platform. I'd like to go ahead and address what you said about my handling of Ondine's case. And that's why you think you brought me here. And you think you want to rubbish me. It's very unfortunate. When you have your own interview, handle Ondine and Frank better than I did. I have handled it the way I handled it. And I was very professional the way I handled it. But if my professionalism does not meet your own standard, it's very fine with me. You can go ahead and be more professional. And I've made out time to explain everything that transpired, even backstage. And if you think it was being emotional and rather than being objective, and you think that everything that is happening in Nigeria is a Western problem, it is up to you to believe that it is the West only that is doing us. Because an APC chieftain, former APC chieftain or APC chieftain politicians just said yesterday, highlighted the core of our problem in the show I had yesterday, or one of what he thought was the core of our problem. He did not mention the West. So that man is also a fool. Every Nigerian who does not believe in your point of view is a lunatic. They are being emotional because people are dying. It's up to you. You see, that is the beauty of the world, for people to have divergent views. If we don't get divergent view, then within the communication, we must disagree to agree. So it is okay for you to berate people who do not see reasons with your Western view, but it is not okay for them to think it's also bad for you not to see reasons with their own view. Does it make sense to you? Life is live and let's live. And as a matter of fact, can I finish? I didn't stop you, please. Your objectivity may be different from the other person's. Again, people tell you things that people who kill us tell us that this is the reason they're killing us. They tell us personally. I have interviewed first-hand people who felt this, and they say the reasons. Now, I have also had to, I've interviewed David, and of course I read, even before David said what he said. I read, I'm not lame, I'm not dumb. I read. And there is a possibility to marry both stories together. And let's ask ourselves questions. Where do we go forward with these evidences? But if you choose to blame the white man, the West, for your problem, and I guess it is the white man that made your forefathers sell themselves to slavery too, because they should be absorbed of blames. It is okay. If somebody did not take advantage of an existing loophole from a personal character defect or a personal need, then why would what is happening to us happen to us? People took advantage, but if you don't think that anybody took advantage of what's happening to undo us, and it is just the white man that must be blamed because that's your objectivity, it is fine with you. It is your opinion. But I cannot stand here to say that one person's opinion is superior to the other, if that's what you want me to do. It is not even my duty, my responsibility.
But you agree both can be true at the same time. Both can be true at the same time.
I have never disagreed with this from the onset. So if you're trying to make this as a point, then it's just rubbish. Because
no, I'm not making that was not my point. My point was about
I have never disagreed that both things can be true. I mean, from the beginning of this conversation, even from my platform, the intent from the beginning, ab initio, was for me to educate Nigerians to see reasons from all the perspectives. If I didn't want that, I would have brought in only one guest at a time. The idea was to balance conversation for Nigerians. That was why I did that. And that's why I invited both of them. I pleaded with both of them to come together the same day. There are days I don't have guests. I think the next day after that interview, I did not have the guests. I would have as well just said, David, please, can you come on Monday? Barrister Frank, come on Tuesday. I feel like style. No, the idea was to see what I do in my platform is not for the reason of sensationalism. And if your IQ thinks that it is for sensationalism, it's a pity. Because I don't go about sensational headlines. I don't go about clickbait for views. I don't do that. I don't do that. People carry all sorts of fake headlines because they want to make views. Please show me one fake headline I've carried in my platform to make views. In fact, people flag people, strike people's platform, give them warnings for using their content. You, yourself, I just heard that you've used my content before on your platform. I have never and I would never strike you. I don't do that because for me, the idea for me is to give people information. In fact, at the end of my shows, I tell people, the reason I do this is for people to learn. You can I will break this conversation down in pidgin English for people to learn. So please, you can cut it and put in different WhatsApp groups, share on your different platforms because we want people to learn. That's why I do what I do. So no, the idea is not for sensationalism. If you're here and you're coming to tell me that I was sensational and I didn't handle it professionally because you think you want to get back at me, please, you're speaking to the fingers because I don't get it. I handled that the best possible way I could handle it. But unfortunately, it went south. Am I happy about it? No. But is it what it is? Yes, it is. And that's what it is. And then you're also telling me that I did not respond to another caller by pinpointing what's wrong with Nigeria. My brother, you have mouths. Say what is wrong with Nigeria with your own mouths. Tell them the root cause of the problem with Nigeria. I have covered all the angles possible in my conversation. We bring out different, I brought out different angles here. At least I presented 3 different angles today here of what people think is a real problem we have. Choose the one you want. Me will not tell Nigerians to choose anyone. If you're waiting for me to do that, I will never do it. And according to how NBC says we should operate, practice journalism in Nigeria, I am not supposed to take sides. And I have decided not to take sides or choose a point or have an opinion. If you have a problem with that, it's unfortunate. I am doing what I should do.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Precious. Our last person in the panel is Ife. Ife, you're on with Precious. Enyi.
Hi, Precious. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Ife. Good to have you. Yeah. Good to be
Sorry,
here.
let me laugh a little bit. Anyway, hi. It's my pleasure, talking to you. I'm a fan, even though I don't watch all the time. So I heard some people here said if you can't say about certain things, then you can get out of the job. See, I am in a healthcare. I can ask a doctor any question and challenge doctor any question or any other, but you can't do that in Nigeria. If you do that in Nigeria, you'll be fired. That doctor is going to terminate you. So it's just like here, journalist or journalism is different from how it is in Nigeria. Let me give you a typical example. I was in Omoye's corner show about 2 weeks ago when she was talking about the NBA chairman need to come and defend himself about all the things that that was going on. And I told her, I said, Omoye, it's not going to happen. Don't put this guy on the spot. I know him from my place. I went to school with him. I studied accounting. He studied law. I know his wife with my junior in secondary school and all the stuff. And Omoye got upset and was like, oh, okay, he's not going to he should get out. Another person can do the job. It is not easy like that. I said yesterday that Nigeria is not a democratic nation. We are still learning democracy. We don't have freedom of speech. I can say anything I want to say here, and get away with it. But you can't do that in Nigeria. The next minute, you're going to be picked up immediately. So for people saying that if you can't address this issue, if you can't say this issue, that you can't, you need to get out or don't talk about it. That's not how journalism is practiced, especially in a third world country like Africa, where you know that, for example, we know who we have in power now. And, there are some things you can say, there are some things you cannot say. So, my sister, first of all, if you know what you feel comfortable, that will not take away your life or put you in jail, go ahead and say, do what you can do about it. I don't typically listen to Nigerian, news and all that stuff. Most of the stuff I know about Nigeria, I see it on social media. So that, by the way, my question about you, my question is this. Why is it, I know you mentioned it a little bit when you were talking, because I listened to you from the beginning till the end. I waited, to listen to you. Why is it that Nigerian journalists are not talking about this issue of China mining our natural resources? It was recently that I know that we have gold, that we have lithium and other natural resources, in our country. And like you said, I believe that Nigeria, we are so blessed, very blessed, that if we utilize the resources we have in that country, we do not have no business, borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. A lot of countries don't even have the resources we have in Nigeria, and they don't even borrow as much as we do. I understand that, funding is another problem they have in Nigeria, because, of course, they have to run a commercial, especially Super Bowl, it runs in millions of dollars. It's not like that in Nigeria. My question is it because of here that people like you and other journalists don't report, such things about what is happening? I heard at some point that they have in Zamfara, flights will come in and zoom out, they steal our resources for mining and nobody knows about it. We have a minister for mineral resources, and nobody, like you said, is giving account of that resources. So, what we have and what we have mined and, how much all these things are generated. Is it because you people don't want to talk about it, or just the government?
Thank you, Ife. Precious.
All right. So responding to your question, trying to see there is a data. Let me quickly get that. We have over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. About 15 states in Nigeria with commercial deposit of gold, including Osun and Ondo states. And if you notice, remember that Osun state has been, Ondo state has been at loggerheads with is one southwestern states that have been having issues with terrorists recently too, or terrorism recently, insurgency, as it were. So I do not know. I cannot tell why they don't report it. It's not because they don't know. You see, I don't know how to explain how journalism is in Nigeria. I, for one, cannot cover all of that, because for me to report this, it means that I have to not just employ a staff, mobilize their transportation and means to go to those places to do this coverage. First of all, Nigerian security agencies are the ones guarding those people, the China people that you see that are mining these sites. They will not even let you cover it. They may not let you cover it. So there is a possibility that you can actually mobilize resources and go to sites and you may not cover anything. There may be that possibility. Except maybe, you do the Nigerian way, things exchange and all that, you find your way in and you'll be able to get a report from it. Or you use other means that you may hide the cameras and all of those and you're able to get it. But every media house in Nigeria is aware that we have different states with, good gold deposits in Nigeria. But why they're not covering it, I cannot answer for them. I am not their owners. So I don't know why they're not covering it. And is it only China that is mining gold in Nigeria? I do not think so. It's not only China, but why government is in fact, there was a video I played the other time, I come across the other time about a particular community in southern Kaduna that said that China has told them to leave, that their villagers, they call them that they should evacuate their village, that they have bought the land, their village. That video is out there on social media, you can see it, that they told them to evacuate their land, that they bought their land, their ancestral homes. You don't understand. So again, that brings us back to the issue of leadership. Did all of this begin before President Tinubu's regime? Yes, it is true. So I don't blame him entirely. I can't blame him. And as I said before, if you blame me for saying that this is not Tinubu's fault, of course it's not his fault. Should I not say the truth? Or you don't want me to say the truth? The insecurity precedes President Tinubu's administration. But as a government, he has the power, every power in this world apart from God, to handle it. Why is he not handling it? I do not know. And I cannot know why it is not curbed, why it is not under control. So there are lots of things that we do not have answers to that is happening in Nigeria. And while people in power may have answers and have reasons as to why it's happening, it's unfortunate that even if some of us may know, or some people may have hint of what may be going on, you cannot say it because where is your fact? And how would you say that? Or what's the freedom of information or after information? So there's a lot going on that I don't have answers to. Yes, we have difference. Let me see if I can get the names of the states where we have good large deposit of. We have Borno states with very large, percentage of mineable commercial deposit of gold. We have Zamfara. I think Borno is the highest, followed by Zamfara, Katsina, Niger, Kaduna, Kwara, Kebbi, Adamawa, I think Kano, Edo, the FCT, Cross River, Ondo, and then lastly Osun State. You need to go to Osun State. I think it was when I went to do a documentary for the government in Osun State. If you see their water in Osun State, their river in Osun State, brown, they don't have good water, and you'll be imagining what will become of the aquatic life in that water. I had to ask the governor when I was there, because I was there on a documentary on his, behearst, and I did ask, and they said the mining licenses are coming from federal government. It is not in their hand. They cannot stop it. At least I did ask that question, and I'm only going to tell you this because I did ask the government at that time. It's as if they don't have river in Osun State. All their river is brown in color because of mining activities. And you'll be imagining what's going to happen to the fish and the entire aquatic life. And some of these people within riverine areas, remember that they're substantially farmers, either fishing and all of that. All those things are damaged because of the mining. Does government have the power to control this so that it doesn't further destroy our environment? Of course they do have the power. Why are they not doing it? I don't know, because I'm not government. Thank you.
All right, Ife, thank you so much. And Precious, thank you so much for your time. We always appreciate when real journalists on the ground come up here to talk to our people. I'll give you a chance to your final thoughts on the topics we've talked about and the perception of people, especially those of us who are abroad and looking into Nigeria, things we don't typically understand very well.
Okay, so I think that we need a lot of people in the diaspora, a lot, to come in to help us with information. Nigerians do not understand that the government will be saying they give excuses for. Their life and their death, they're for the hands of government. They need information. I am not saying you should open your own media house, but if you can tax your family members, be sharing information to them about how things are meant to be done or ought to be done. Share to them. Let them share in their own different WhatsApp groups. Let information go around. Let them know what they deserve as human beings, first of all. Let them understand the concept of social contracts with their governments. Let them get this proper information. Because once they're informed, they'll stand the opportunity to take the best decision that would help their lives. So giving information to them, it's very, very important. But blaming Nigerians entirely for what's going on in Nigeria, it's not totally correct, because we have a very, I don't know how to explain the situation in Nigeria. We have a very funny scenario in Nigeria. But I do believe that if Nigerians are more informed, they will take the right decision. So let's learn to give them the right information and do our best to pass that information to them. With the proper information, we can spark the right action and we can take the right action. They do not know, and that's why maybe they're not taking the right action. Tomorrow, you tell them to go and protest that government is not doing this. They'll tell you, because it's not your brother is in power. Why do you want us to come protest against our brother? Allah make it finish the way the other person finished in 8 years. You see? So we need to also learn to teach our people that we should see ourselves in Nigeria beyond ethnicity and religion. That's one thing that is eating us up. Most of the times, we'll say our government will tell us, pray. Let's continue to pray. President Tinubu made a statement the other day after he blamed Iran for what's going on. And he said, let's pray that we pray. We'll put prayer. Government officials will talk and tell you prayer. But now prayer, now fix the country on the inside. The country said that they go receive medical care. Now prayer, they fix their medical care. Now prayer, they pray when they sick. No. So you see, these are the information you have to start telling your people. Let your people understand that they need to learn how to hold their government accountable beyond allowing them. Prayer does not fix anything. That starts because we've been brainwashed along religious line and ethnic line to hate each other because of our religion, to hate each other because of our ethnicity, and it doesn't take us anywhere. And guess what? They are glorifying over it because keeping us divided helps them a lot. And I'd like to say something very quickly in response to my dear brother. I've forgotten your name. I don't know. My dear brother who's fighting with me. I love you with the love of God. I don't love you beyond that. And yes, I do not know you before that day you came to my show. I do not even remember it was you. The reason I responded that way, I just got a message from my phone that you use my this thing that how can you say you don't know my platform when you were analyzing my video on your platform? That's how I knew. I wouldn't have known. I don't even know what your YouTube is like. I don't know if you own a YouTube. I got information from them. The same way people will feed you things, I get information too. So, but I don't have anything against you. I mean, I like it when people discuss intelligently, disagree intelligently, to agree on the common problem that we have. Now that we've all disagreed, what is our problem? I would prefer that you guys speak on the solution to these problems that we have. What is the way that Nigeria can move forward? How can we get away from where we are today? Let's stop talking and start doing. What are the things we need to do to stop the killings? I cannot stand this. Me, I don't know how to stand people suffering. Sometimes when people call in on my show, sorry for taking a lot of your time. When people call in on my show and they say that, oh, them Nigerians are brought in a lot of money. There's almost any day that doesn't, I don't think any day goes by without me giving out, sending money for one form of help or the other to people. I am not rich. I'm just a poor woman managing my life. But I give because I can't stand somebody telling me that I've not eaten or my children don't have food to eat and I have to give. Even if it's the small rice I have in my pot and I don't give to you, I give. So the way we're, empathetic, I'm naturally an empathetic person. And that's why things about killing and what's going on in Nigeria affects me a lot because I'm empathetic to the plight of people. Anybody who's done me over time will know that most of my benevolence that I do is I'm responding to the plights of people. So if I am passionate about seeing people get better, seeing things get better in Nigeria, that's just my own flaw. I agree, it may be a flaw, but I just want things to get better. I don't want people to be dying again because it can be me anytime. It can be anybody at any time. I am just passionate about seeing things get better in this country. I love you guys and I love all of you. And I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to explain myself. And for those who hate me, I love you back. I cannot hate you. And for those who love me, I love you people because I cannot be Jollof rice. I can't make everybody happy. So there is a tendency that would always disagree to agree. But at the end of the day, I love the fact that we are all passionate about moving our country forward. And I cannot wait to see this country get better. I believe that we can. I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, Precious. We appreciate you. We will hopefully invite you again, and then you will come and help us understand how things are going in the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Good night.
All right. We'll take a break.
Thank you. Bye.